update pertaining to the DC Blackhawk helicopter crash that happened in Washington, D.C. last week, and also the Philadelphia crash. I will be bringing you information pertaining to both incidents. Once again, condolences and prayers to the victims' families. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Thank you for your time.
All right. Hey, good afternoon. Colonel Frank Pera from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Baltimore District. I'm following up on yesterday's update as far as our progress on the wreckage recovery for this plane crash here at Reagan National. We continue to be mindful of those impacted by this tragic incident, the families and the loved ones who lost their lives, but also the first responders and our local, state, and federal partners who are working diligently on scene and behind the scenes to support the rescue and recovery efforts. Yesterday, I provided some insight into our salvage operations, as well as the iterative cycle that we've used to make sure that we're doing that in close coordination with Unified Command. Again, our process is committed to the dignified process for recovery of the remains for personnel and passengers of the flight.
Brief intermission. Thank you all so much for joining me. Once again, this is a two-part live update pertaining to the crash in DC and Philadelphia.
Operations. We did conduct some work stoppages associated with human remains. Assistant Fire Chief Steen can discuss those details further, but I do want to emphasize that should any remains be located, we have done and will continue to do an automatic work stoppage until the proper coordination with the appropriate authorities can be conducted. And today was a very successful day for the most part. We began the effort to clear the wreckage in the Potomac right at sunrise. We left Gravelly Point and then began this larger interagency effort. Throughout the day, we've had some success. The first of the two engines was removed at about 10 o'clock this morning. Shortly after that, about noon, we had the fuselage out of the water. And then about 2:30 this afternoon, we began our salvage operations to begin to bring the wing out of the water. Those were our goals for today. The fuselage, the engine, and the wing, we are on our way. Right now, we anticipate that most of those items will end up on the barge, like we talked about last night, stay overnight in a secured and covered condition until we can make our way to a transport point tomorrow morning. A lot of our operations tomorrow will be dictated by tidal conditions. The barge that we're using has a shallow draft. We're going to wait till high tide, probably close to around 10 o'clock before we can start actually begin transferring those items from the barge over to the transport that will eventually bring them over to Hangar 7, and then returning back out to complete our operation. Over the next 24 hours, our goal is really to complete our commitment to finishing the civilian plane recovery. Tomorrow, our goal is going to be the cockpit. That goal may be impacted tomorrow by a couple of environmental conditions, notably the wind, but we're going to stay conscious of kind of where those gusts and sustained winds are, and we'll make sure that we're communicating that effectively. We're still committed to our dedicated plan of making sure that we plan, prep, assess before we execute. We're really thankful for all the cooperation we've had so far from the Unified Command. Thank you very much, and I'll be standing by for additional questions, and I'll be followed by Assistant Chief Steen.
Good afternoon. I'm Assistant Fire Chief Gary Steen. I would like to thank the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Colonel Pera, and all of our other partners that have been out through this process. We'd like to now provide an update on the recovery of operations. Throughout the day, our police and fire crews, along with regional partners, have been working closely with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on recovery and salvage operations. As of this update, we have positively identified 55 sets of remains. During recovery and salvage operations today, additional human remains were located. These remains, as well as remains that have been recovered previously, are in the process of being positively identified by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of the District of Columbia. All of those involved with these efforts continue to work diligently at several sites. At this point, we will now take questions. No, we're still at 55 positively identified. Yes, sir.
Question for Colonel Ott, if I may, sir. We talked yesterday, you said these were experienced pilots, they knew this airspace. Is there any reason why Army helicopters would be flying above that 200-foot line as it appears in this case?
Yeah, so I think it's important for us to not speculate, because there are all kinds of reasons that you could deviate from an altitude. You know, something as simple as a flock of birds is in front of you, or you may deviate if you see something that's an obstacle or other threat to your flight. And so I would wait and caution everybody, let's just wait until the NTSB investigation. I know we all want answers. We want to know also, but all that should come out, and we should have a better picture once the cockpit data recorders and that are analyzed. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Scott Anderson, CBS News. I know you were talking about the timeline for the salvage operation. Are you still on track with that, given the success today? I know you said that there could potentially be some challenges tomorrow. Could that delay things, or?
Yeah, so the question's about whether or not we're concerned about the timeline being delayed for our salvage operations. We do believe that we're on track. I think we were very successful today. Every day we set a goal for what we're trying to accomplish. Our goal for today was to get to the engine, the fuselage, and the wing, and we're going to be successful by the end of the day. Our goal for tomorrow, based on the reduced timeline and the environmental conditions, is the cockpit, and we equally think we're going to be successful.
Tom Costello with NBC News. Could you talk about the emotional toll that this must take on these divers who are in the water and trying to recover the remains of these victims, and do it, as you've said over and over again, in a dignified manner? But presumably you're dealing with children and parents and families. I'm just wondering what this does to the divers who are in the water.
So the question was about the emotional toll that this takes on the divers and first responders, and even on all of our partners, right? So this is tragic, right? And we've had peer support in place since the first hours of the incident to help provide that additional help that they need. And we will continue with that throughout the rest of their careers if necessary to provide them that support. But I mean, it is tragic, and everything imaginable that you can think of, right? That is what they're dealing with day in and day out. And we're going to continue to provide support to them. Yes, sir.
Can you describe how you came up with this plan to strategically take out each of those elements that you just described?
Yeah, so the process that we do, and this is typical for most salvage operations, is to ensure that you understand the environment. So there is a series of iterative events that kind of inform the dive and salvage process. First, like we said, is a and that gets us down to a localized area. Once we get to that localized area and we're at the wreckage, there's a dive survey that really kind of informs the conditions at that point, and we have to understand the structure to inform the next part, which is the salvage plan. The salvage plan is really the execution of kind of how we're going to lift that day. Now, the only change to any of that is the process that we're doing that addresses the human remains we talked about before. And we've worked that in painstaking detail with the entire interagency, and as well as all of our partners within the Unified Command. And we think we've got a great solid plan that we've executed on a number of occasions now successfully as far as the dignified recovery of those remains.
Yes, ma'am.
It said that in order to recover the rest of the victims, it would require the removal of the wreckage. Is it still believed that the remaining bodies are within the wreckage at this point?
I believe that is accurate. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Right here.
Similar question.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. That's the gist of that. So we're talking about 55 remains so far that have been identified. They've gotten the fuselage, the wing, and the engine um, retrieved from the Potomac. Wow, 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 wow. Still more to go. And once again, the divers. This is excruciating work for these men and or women to go into cold, freezing water to retrieve remains, wreckage. As you know, they bought in a barge to retrieve the wreckage. You know, you have to have something to put the wreckage on, and then it will be processed. So 55 people have been retrieved from the Potomac River. Wow, wow, wow. What a day. Let's hear what else they have to say pertaining to the wreckage. Thank you for joining me. This is just a horrible, horrible situation. Don't know how long it's going to take, but we'll see.
Members of the figure skating community lost in this crash.
We've seen memorials growing outside of the Ice House and other local rinks. And over the weekend,
Hello, Lisa.
families
Hello,
attended
Beth.
a memorial just steps from the crash site at Reagan National Airport. Tonight, we're hearing from the parents of one of the military members on board the Blackhawk helicopter, Staff Sergeant Ryan O'Hara.
He was just a great guy all the way around. He was a good son, a very loving father to his little boy.
Now, there are three significant angles to this story we are
Good to see you too, honey. Thank
efforts to
you.
recover some of the remaining victims, the salvage mission to get the debris out of the Potomac River, and the investigation into exactly what happened here.
Matt Gregory is digging into all of it for us tonight.
Each night, the search and salvage crews break until the morning. They take stock of everything they uncovered from the Potomac River during the day. Crews say at this point they're moving along a lot faster than they anticipated, and the positive ID count on victims is up above 50. And at the same time, they're still uncovering new evidence that points in the direction of what may have caused this tragic crash.
Hello,
Today
Doctor.
was a very successful day for the most part.
Colonel Frank Pera from the Army Corps of Engineers says the salvage work on American Airlines Flight 5342 began at daybreak.
The first of the two engines was removed at about 10 o'clock this morning. Shortly after that, about noon, we had the fuselage out of the water.
Finally, by the afternoon, crews pulled a wing out of the water.
Wow.
This video provided by the NTSB gives an overview of the recovery work on the passenger plane. And from the wreckage, DC fire crews recovered more victims. So far, they've identified 55 of 67 people.
During recovery and salvage operations today, additional human remains.
Flight 5342's black box. It showed the plane at an altitude of 325 feet, plus or minus 25 feet, while the control tower showed the Blackhawk helicopter at 200 feet, the maximum flight level, which clearly was not the case.
I think it's important for us to not speculate because there are all kinds of reasons that you could deviate from an altitude.
But again, that's all preliminary. It's not confirmed. The NTSB continues to dig through the data from Flight 5342 and the Blackhawk helicopter. And salvage crews will work to complete the recovery of the passenger plane before moving on to the helicopter.
Tomorrow, our goal is going to be the
Wow.
cockpit.
Look at it.
That
Turn on
goal
its side.
may be impacted tomorrow by a couple of environmental conditions, notably the wind.
At DCA, Matt Gregory, WUSA 9.
Okay, so what we have right now is a difference of altitude. That's the issue at hand. As you hear this official say,
Emergency fire services can be expensive.
we're not going to speculate what could have happened, where each person was. Right now, it's an issue, once again, where the helicopter was, 200 feet or 350 or 325. There's also saying that possibly the plane was trying to maneuver out of the way of a helicopter, but could not maneuver in time. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. What is the truth? Because right now, there's a difference between, I believe, what was seen at the tower versus what they've gathered, I think, from the boxes. Let me see. There was something I was playing earlier. I'll play just a little bit of it. So you all can get a little bit of detail. I'll play just a little bit of this. It's on my community page if you need information. Fox 10 Phoenix is the source. And this goes into the details of both the helicopter and the plane. This is just some crazy, crazy situation. Megan Boswell, the jury for her trial, jury selection started yesterday on Monday. I will be covering that case as I had brought you all content in the past pertaining to Megan Boswell. I only have a few more children cases to cover on this network, and Megan Boswell's case is one of them. So I will be bringing you updates throughout the week pertaining to jury selection and the beginning of the trial. Let's see what they have to say about this flight briefly. And then we'll go into some other content pertaining to Philadelphia. But all updates are posted to my community page if you need verification. Let's go back a little bit so you all can hear the commentary.
It now appears that the pilots of that doomed American airline plane did make a last-ditch effort to try to save everybody on board. Preliminary data is starting to now be released from the plane's flight data recorder, and it shows that the captain, Jonathan Campos, along with his first officer, Samuel Lilly, must have seen what was about to happen, and they tried to pull the plane up in elevation to avoid being hit by the Blackhawk. Here's a quote from the NTSB, one of the key members there, saying, "At one point close to impact, there was a slight change in pitch, meaning an increase in pitch." They also said that there is conflicting information now. This is somewhat concerning. I mean, ultimately we'll get the answers, but they say there's conflicting information about the altitude of the helicopter in relation to the airline. Data from the Jets recorder showed its altitude at 325, plus or minus 25 feet. That's when the crash happened. But the data back at the control tower said that the Blackhawk was operating at 200 feet, which is the limit from what they're supposed to actually be flying at. And as you know, virtually all helicopter traffic up and down the Potomac has been halted. We don't know if that's for the next week or two, or if that's going to be almost semi-permanent.
Let me interject here. So what's the truth? Because now we have a difference of versus other data. I don't know. This is an issue. Did the plane see the Blackhawk coming towards the airliner and the pilot try to lift the plane upwards? What is the area that the helicopter, I don't know. We're going from 200 to 300 plus. So what happened? Did the helicopter not see the airplane? We've gotten information that it is very hard to see through the goggles at nighttime, that what looks possibly far away is not far away. So perhaps the pilot thought that this plane was either out of sight or far away, or maybe the pilot was assuming the plane above him was in sight, but instead he or she was approaching this airliner. I don't know.
But we continue to try to get additional information.
Brief intermission. Oh my goodness. So we go from one controller to now 5 in the control room to now difference of what the control room saw as far as the area footage of the helicopter and the airplane. This is just disturbing and baffling information all wrapped in one. I don't know what to think. At this point, it's just too much.
But how could this crash have occurred if the plane was at that altitude and yet the helicopter was closer to 200 feet? It's just not quite adding up. But we believe that today, in fact, let me show you a live picture of what's going on right now. We do believe that there are going to be a couple of major developments today. By the way, Celeste joins as well. Good morning, Celeste.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone.
So there is an effort underway now out there in the Potomac River to try to begin the process of pulling up the fuselage, and that may very well happen sometime later today, or at least we understand it.
This content is from earlier. I just wanted to play you the issue at hand between where the helicopter was versus the plane. What they're about to talk about has already happened, as I just brought you that update pertaining to the fuselage, the engine, and the wing. They have been retrieved from the Potomac, and bodies were recovered. The number stands at 55 officially identified. So I'm assuming more bodies were taken from the water, and those people have yet to be identified. So I'm not going to hold on into this commentary, but I just wanted to play a little bit of the beginning because this was yesterday morning's content versus the update that I brought you, which was later in the afternoon. Once again, 55 remains officially identified. Fuselage, engine, and wing have been retrieved from the waters. That's the latest. At the moment, they are still working diligently to get the said parties, individuals out of the water, plus the wreckage itself. And they are moving faster than they had anticipated, which is a wonderful thing. Naturally, if you're a relative of a lost loved one, you're wanting it to be, exacted readily and faster, because we are now at Tuesday and this incident happened Wednesday night. So you're talking about 6 days or so, going into 6 days of these people being in the water, 5.5 days or so. So naturally, it is a process to go into murky water, icy water, trying to retrieve human remains, and also that's the latest update pertaining to the DC crash. We're now going to go, let's see. What do I want to show you all? I guess I'll show you the removal of this. Well, they've already talked about that. So let's see. We're going to go to Philadelphia. Sean Puffy Combs went into the hospital last week. They took him out at nighttime, about 10 o'clock at night, because they didn't want to alert the other inmates to get gossip started. As you see here, he's got a teddy bear, which I don't know why anyone would give him a teddy bear. He can't take it to the jail. But anyway, he's had knee trouble, allegedly from running a marathon many moons ago. And he's had 4 surgeries in a 2-year span. But he was taken back to his cell, and one article alleged that he had some type of mental break back around the holidays, which that's expected because he's locked up. He doesn't want to be locked up, but he's having knee trouble. And that's the latest development pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs. Also, Wendy Williams will be going to Miami to celebrate the father's 94th birthday. That's another update I meant to bring you. And Megan Boswell will be going to trial here when the jury is selected. Jury selection started yesterday. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. So I'm going to bring you 2 videos pertaining to victims missing. One still in the hospital in Philadelphia, and I'm going to bring you the Philadelphia update from yesterday. Let's see. I think this is the one I want to play. Hold on. I think this is, we're gonna go to Philadelphia now. Thank you. And get the update pertaining to that crash. And then I'll play some commentary from, as I said, there are some people missing. Family members speaking about a male missing and now a female. What is weird about this is you're going to say, well, where could they be? Wouldn't they be on the ground? You know, if they got struck by debris, the plane. My assumption is possibly they are disintegrated. That's why nobody can find these two missing people. Unless that other guy was found, because it's common sense. Cars, trucks, buildings were caught on fire. So that would lead you to think if the person got hit by the debris or the plane, they would naturally be disintegrated. And now we're talking about looking for basically body parts. Lord have mercy.
Let me start by saying good morning to everyone, or good afternoon in a few minutes. Sherelle Parker, Mayor of the City of Philadelphia. We are going to give you an update on the investigation relative to the plane crash that occurred on Cottman Avenue in Northeast Philadelphia.
That's one from Sunday. Hold on. I'm trying to find the one from yesterday. Sorry about that, because they've been giving back-to-back updates. Hold on one second, everybody. Trying to keep you abreast. It's like, what in the world? I'm going to go to my community page. So I've got the videos there. Welcome to the Vault Excel, everybody. Late morning live. Well, check out my shorts. Did a couple of shorts the other day. Okay. Let's see if this is one of the videos I wanted to play about DC crash. Hold on.
Right here are new pictures of the Livingston family, Donna and Peter, and their daughters, 14-year-old Everly and 11-year-old Lydia. Friends say they were staples at the Ice House skating rink in Ashburn. A vigil was held in Colorado tonight for the more than 24 members of the figure skating community lost in this crash.
We've seen memorials growing outside of the Ice House and other local rinks. And over the weekend, families attended a memorial just steps from the crash site at Reagan National Airport. Tonight, we're hearing from the parents of one of the military members on board the Blackhawk helicopter, Staff Sergeant Ryan O'Hara.
Oh, I played that already. I'm sorry. Let me go back. I put my videos in several places. So, because I have to keep a database of all this content. So I was in my history and that. Sorry about that. I played that for you. I'm trying to find this information. I can't find it for some reason. Now, the Chopper Cruise chief's father, he has spoken out. That's about an hour video. So I didn't want to play that because it's so winded. So we're going to go to Philadelphia. This is the content I was looking for. This is the latest because she's been doing back-to-back updates, the mayor. Sorry.
Oh my God, what is that?
I don't know. What is it? Commercials. YouTube's got to get his pay. All right, everybody, Philadelphia.
Thank you for being with us here today. We wanted to give you
thank you, Godfrey. I appreciate
another
that.
in a continuing series of updates on the ongoing investigation relative to the plane crash that occurred on Cottman Avenue here in Northeast Philadelphia on Friday night. Let me start by saying that I want to welcome here today U.S. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy to Northeast Philadelphia. Mr. Secretary, we know the demands that's on the time. Our nation has faced a great number of challenges that connect to our Department of Transportation, and we want you to know that we are grateful and we appreciate your presence here today, and we appreciate your being able to feel in real time the magnitude and impact this has had on our great city of Philadelphia. To our governor, Governor Shapiro, I want to say thank you, Governor.
Well, they just commercials breaking. What is going on? Sorry about that, everybody.
Every
Keep
step of the
buffering.
way, and we appreciate your support. As we get started, I want to give us just a little context. On yesterday, Fire Commissioner Thompson and I had the opportunity to visit some of those who have been impacted by this tragedy at our area hospitals. Philadelphia, seeing them along with their families, we are reminded that there is in no way, shape, or form anything that we could have done to prepare for what I've described as the worst Black Swan event that the city of Philadelphia has encountered. And I don't know
Black
how
Swan.
many years,
Wow.
but even in the midst of that tragedy, I want you to know our resilience and our strength
Yeah, they probably are.
remains strong. Working together collaboratively with our federal
But the
partners,
Maryland's pretty
state and
good.
local partners, we know Philadelphia will recover from this tragedy. We're here in the Northeast where the people are Northeast strong. We will continue to look after each other the way Philadelphians do, with our One Philly philosophy as our foundation. Let me, in a very detailed way, affirm for the city that this remains an ongoing investigation, and it is fluid and it is active. Our Philadelphia Police Department, Fire Department, Office of Emergency Management, first responders, again, federal, state, and local partners are all working around the clock to ensure that we get all of the information that we need to address this issue. I want to again give a special thanks, and Mr. Secretary, I know I said this to you when we first connected, that the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, Chair Jennifer Holmandy, her amazing team, we were trying to figure out how we could keep Ralph here in the city of Philadelphia. I mean, he has done just an amazing job when they were sifting through all of the evidence and the data to find out what ultimately caused this terrible incident, and to the announcement where Philadelphians breathed a sigh of relief that the black box had been discovered. So we were really happy about that, and we want to thank you. We have been very careful, and I want to affirm this.
Let me interject because she's really talking. They have been doing a wonderful job out in Philadelphia. So yes, we need to thank everybody that's been on deck in Philadelphia to assess the situation, to keep everyone safe. When she said Black Swan, it was, a little a bit dramatic, but it's kind of like, okay, Black Swan incident. Yeah, it's a bad situation, a really bad situation. The black box was found down 8 feet into the sidewalk, into the earth. Okay, 8 feet. So that was so interesting that, they were telling everybody, if you see anything on your car, debris, don't touch your car, call the police. The police will come, assess your car, process your car. So they're looking for this box, this infamous box, and the box has been sitting there right there in front of them, literally just 8 feet down. So when that plane crashed, nosedive down, hit the ground, that box just was conveniently sitting down in there waiting for someone to dig it out. And when you go and look at the footage of the sidewalk, you will see it's deep and it's open, it's cracked open, and conveniently, and by the grace of God, that box was down in there. I'm glad the box was there, not, somewhere else, broke up or scattered 4 to 6 blocks, because we get an estimate of at least 4 to 6 blocks of debris from the plane. That's a lot of blocks, because city blocks are bigger, than average blocks in neighborhoods. So I would assume, Philadelphia block may be bigger than, a city block here in Knoxville, Tennessee, because, everything's, made different in cities versus, smaller towns. But by the grace of God, that box was recovered. So just letting you know, it was down into the earth, 8 feet down, where the plane took a nosedive.
The numbers of those who have been impacted and the fatalities, because we're working in direct correlation with our forensics department and all of our research and investigatory partners. We want to affirm the numbers, and that is that 6 people, yes, were on board the plane. However, the 7th person who was in a nearby car, they also perished. We learned today that the number of people who have been treated so far with injuries that they suffered as a result of the crash has been increased from 22 to 24.
Wow.
4 of those people remain hospitalized. 2 are now stable, and 2 remain in critical condition.
Wow,
we will continue to keep them, their loved ones and families in our prayers, and we stand with them. We also want to reinforce our ask that you follow the work of the NTSB on Twitter for subsequent updates from our federal colleagues as we're collaborating with them closely. Public education.
Brief intermission. 2 people critically injured. 2 individuals, 6 people on the plane, and 1 person injured on the ground. I believe that person was sitting in their car when they were fatally injured by this plane crash.
No new updates. Philadelphia schools are open, and no charter schools have been impacted by the incident. Mr. Secretary and Governor, I think we've heard this from across the board, but I can tell you that although we've been talking about local, state, and federal partners, and we all have very specific assignments and areas of expertise, there have been no silos. We have all understood the assignment, especially when I think about our first responders and the technicians and engineers who are on the ground and the investigators, but they have worked in a collaborative spirit. And for the record, I again want to affirm NTSB, Ralph Hicks, thank you. To the FAA, you have been amazing. The office of our governor, Josh Shapiro, our Pennsylvania State Police, Pennsylvania Emergency Management, Department of Environment, of course, our Philadelphia Police and Fire, Office of Emergency Management, our Managing Director's Office, the American Red Cross of Southeastern Pennsylvania, School District of Philadelphia, many other agencies and officials. We are all grateful for your support. We have to now mention for the record that intergovernmental coalition extends to our elected representatives. And I shared with both the governor and the secretary that our U.S. Senators, Fetterman and McCormick, have been in constant communication with the city throughout this process, as well as Congress members Evans, Boyle, and Scanlon, all of our state legislators. And it's important to this, Reps Doherty, Nielsen, Solomon, Bellman, every rep, State Senator Pecosi, who represents this area, my former double colleague, Driscoll Witt, thank you so very much for being here. Commissioner Dealey, the Mexican consulate, everyone standing up together in this crisis. One Philly Northeast strong. Finally, where do you turn to for help? Shelter. There's a shelter at the Samuel Fells High School, located at 5500 Langdon Street, here in Northeast Philadelphia. It is being operated by our Office of Emergency Management and the American Red Cross, Southeastern Pennsylvania, with the School District of Philadelphia. It is operating 24/7. You only need to call 1-800-RED-CROSS for help. I also want to affirm that we have now confirmed the location for our town hall meeting. It will be held on Wednesday, this Wednesday, February 5th, at the Solace Cohen Elementary School, 7001 Horrock Street at 7 p.m. This becomes extremely important because so much information regarding mental and behavioral health supports, we want to make sure we communicate to the public and any other questions or concerns that you may have. If you need mental and behavioral health supports, we want you to call the hotline at 988 or visit them at www.dbhids.org. The City of Philadelphia is here to help you. If you know of anyone who has been displaced or impacted by the tragedy, we want you to tell them that they can get help. However, we don't want anyone, because right now, as you can imagine, Mr. Secretary and Governor, a lot of people are watching us. A lot of people are saying, what can we do to help during this time? We still do not want you to bring any sort of donations and or supports to this site, nor do we want you formally making a contribution because nothing been structured as of yet that involves our government. We're working with many partners in order to stand that up. And as soon as we have found and established a vehicle, we will communicate that with you. But we are developing a way for people to contribute to the victims of this disaster. Roosevelt Boulevard is now reopened. If you want to get updates, visit Ready PHL to get updates from our Office of Emergency Management. I now want to just affirm, and I want to say a special thanks to our federal partners, NTSB, the Secretary of Transportation, the FBI, and the ATF, as well as all of our state and local partners, and to our tremendous police and fire departments and first responders. Thank you all. Mr. Secretary, I want to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Ooh, Lord. A lot of conversation. So do not donate anything. Don't take anything to the site. They don't have anything structured. And they're giving you this information as so you don't donate anything, goods and or monies to scammers, because scammers always come out when there is a tragedy. So this is why she's giving you this information. The city has not set up any type of GoFundMes for anyone. Now, these people may have set up a GoFundMe for themselves. Know that you need to tread lightly in donating any money to a GoFundMe page, because you do need to know who you're donating your money to. Just a heads up, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. It is nice of the welcome you've given me here in Philadelphia. I want to take a quick moment and extend my condolences to those who lost their lives in this tragedy here in Philadelphia.
Yes, amen.
Not only those who lost their lives, but many lives in Philadelphia have been impacted. As you look at the crash zone, people in the hospital, we look at people removed from their homes, businesses that have been shut down. There has been a substantial impact that's taken place here in your city. And I just want to take a moment and this is the first time I had a chance to meet your mayor, but I saw what she was doing through this crisis, and the kind of leadership that she has offered Philadelphia has been remarkable. The work that she put in to build a team that could respond to this crisis the way they did, of police and fire and first responders. They don't know what hit them, and they responded quickly to this job, as well as leadership from your governor. He has been remarkable, Governor Shapiro, in constant contact with the Department of Transportation, with the senators, and again, wonderful leadership that's been brought to Philadelphia to make this crisis just a little bit less painful. I know that President Trump sends his condolences to the community and is offering resources and support as this recovery continues and investigation continues. I've been in contact with Senator Fetterman and his office, as well as Senator McCormick. Both of them have been wonderful partners as we deal with this crisis from the federal side. If I could also just take a moment, if you watch the news, the NTSB and the FAA have had a number of different issues they've been dealing with. And they were here at this crash site in less than an hour and a half. They responded immediately to make sure our investigators could be on site, on scene, and began to look at the details around what happened so we can get answers to make sure this doesn't happen again. And so I want to say thank you to the FAA and to the NTSB. As many of you reported, the black box was recovered. That was a voice recorder box. We don't have a data recorder on this aircraft, but there is an enhanced ground proximity warning system. Information can come off that device, whether it's the speed or location of the aircraft. We will be able to get some data, hopefully, off that device. But the FAA and the NTSB, they're going to look at weather. Was there medical concerns? Was there technical or mechanical issues on the airplane? All factors that, even though this crash was so devastating, there are remains, whether it's the engines, the wings, that they can look at and get answers to what took place here. We hope to get their preliminary report within 30 days. And we have committed to being as transparent as possible with the information as it comes out. And in these crises, Mayor and Governor, I know that sometimes people forget because the news cycle moves so fast. We will not forget. We're going to stand in partnership with your community and this wonderful team that you all have built, who I've had a chance to meet, and they are just, they are remarkable Americans. And it was a pleasure to meet them. And again, if you want an example how to respond to crises, look to what happened here and to the team that you all have built, because you all did it right. Governor, Mayor, so thank you for your example that you've shown the country and your community.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Amen.
Thank you. I'll be brief. You know, in life, there's a thin line between tragedy and triumph, between danger and safety. That line you can quite literally witness on Cottman Avenue. Millisecond difference could have claimed many more lives in our community. Thank God it didn't. You can also see in life a line between cooperation and between those who run separately and apart. Here in Philadelphia, in Northeast Philly, over the last several days, we've witnessed that line. We've also witnessed the very best of our community and our government working together. I was struck by one of the images on Friday night as I was here in the pouring rain together with the mayor and on the phone with the secretary, of a person donning his Kelly green hoodie, symbolizing the triumph and ultimately the ultimate triumph on Sunday of the Philadelphia Eagles. But this was a guy who was also dealing with tragedy, and in that hoodie running to save others, to keep them safe. I witnessed it when Philly Fire didn't hesitate for a second, but ran toward danger, not knowing what they were dealing with, but putting out that fire and no doubt saving other lives. Police coming together to support us and make sure we are safe. That thin line kept us safe. And I am grateful to our first responders and law enforcement for doing their part.
Well, a lot of agencies involved on the ground pertaining to this crash. And as I said, 2 people are critically injured. They are still in the hospital. And I'm going to play a little bit of content of other people allegedly missing from Philadelphia. Don't know if it has anything to do with the crash or not, but it's not looking good. So you have to use deduction of what happened to why these people could possibly be missing. They could have been incinerated in the debris, and that's why they have not surfaced.
Save lives. I'm grateful to our neighbors here in Northeast Philly for doing their part to save lives. And I'm especially grateful to Mayor Parker for her extraordinary leadership here in the city of Philadelphia, and all of those who flank behind her to do this important work. You've seen the mayor and I standing up before you, and she's done an outstanding job of sharing relevant information that you needed to be able to keep you and your family safe. Perhaps what you didn't see, though, is the team the mayor assembled behind you. Quite literally, the folks right now who are going through DNA, the folks who are excavating ground so that they could get that black box out and get answers, the folks who are out cleaning up our community so people can get back up on their feet. All of these folks work with the mayor, work with the city of Philadelphia, and make us proud. And I wish the people of Philadelphia could see the extraordinary work
they do. They would be proud of these public servants. As for the Commonwealth, we've done our best to support the mayor and her administration through the Pennsylvania State Police, led by Colonel Christopher Paris, who is with us, PEMA, led by Director Randy Padfield, who's with us, PennDOT has done great work to help make sure our roads have the resources that they need. And I just want you to know, Madam Mayor, the Commonwealth stands with you, not just today, but every day as we go forward. And finally, as I alluded to a moment ago, Secretary Duffy, I think you've been on the job about a week or so, God bless you, got on the phone with me immediately to say, what do you need? Here's what we are sending. We are in this with you. Probably had one phone in his ear dealing with the tragedy in Washington, D.C., and the other in his other ear helping us here in Philly. It says a lot about him, and it says a lot about the people that are behind him as well at the U.S. Department of Transportation to make sure that we have what we need here in this city of Philadelphia. I know oftentimes folks like to find division in ranks, division in our politics. There's no division here. Everybody rowing in the same direction. Everybody working together.
Amen.
Everybody making sure that that thin line between danger and safety is understood. We prioritize the safety and welfare of the people of Philadelphia and the citizens of this great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Madam Mayor, thank you for your leadership. We appreciate you.
Just want to also acknowledge the presence of one of our council members, Jimmy Harity. Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
So in regard to the strike zone, it was how expansive and the issues that fire and police were dealing with. Again, this is a very populated area. Controlling, the people in the area, making sure that they're safe in this process, as well as trying to put the fires out in the community, in the homes around the crash site. But again, if you look at the impact and how deep that crater is, it was a very steep angle. Yes, the second part of that question. The black box was on its way to DC today. Since I've been talking to the governor and the mayor, I don't have an update on the condition of the black box, but hopefully we're able to extract the evidence off the black box.
Sean, 1 second, Sean. Thank you, Sean, for asking that very important question. While the immediate response was the public safety and health of those who were immediately impacted, we know that there will be both short, medium, and a long-term impact on Philadelphia. And while we're dealing with the physical health and social and emotional impact, we really do have to quantify the economic impact. And for that, that's why I'm grateful to have Secretary Duffy here, along with Governor Shapiro. We immediately had those conversations, and it will require that intergovernmental collaboration, no silos, with our city of Philadelphia finance budget, being able to connect with the agencies that we discussed earlier, Mr. Secretary and Governor. So appropriate, and we're working on getting that done immediately. Thank you for that question.
Brief intermission. I don't know what the question was. I guess assumingly the impact of the crash, what it's doing to the businesses, because naturally businesses aren't open in that general area. So now you have people who are not getting their pay. They're just, what I would call just standard workers, probably don't have benefits, doing retail, restaurant work. They need their money. So the longer the business is closed, that means the business owner isn't making any money and the employees aren't getting paid. This is a city. Common sense will tell you it costs to live in a major city, especially on the East Coast. Lord have mercy.
Well, I don't don't want to answer for them, but I do want to share what they've communicated to us. It goes back to the NTSB headquarters. They have the best technical experts available, and we allow them to do that work. And just like they found it, and they publicly affirmed to us when they acquired it, they'll give us an update. But one of the things I'll be very honest, as mayor of the city of Philadelphia, I've watched it in the past. I'm very sensitive to putting a time, line and or affirming what can or cannot be done. It's just been transported to them. Let's give those experts an opportunity to do their job, and let's let them report back to us. Deanna, yes.
Boy, she's a navigator. Woo.
Deanna, you were ultra sensitive and perceptive when you asked that question earlier, and the same on today. That is why we have been so exact in affirming what we have confirmed, but not being absolute. As much as we want to say, this is the exact number of people who have been impacted and treated, or these are the absolute number of lives that have been lost. We're going to allow our experts, our partners at the local, state, and federal levels to continue to do their work. And as soon as we get more information, we will communicate it to you. But I do want to say this, because in real time yesterday, I visited 2 people and their families who were impacted. And they know that we're praying for them, and they were very grateful to it. But I also want you to know, I stopped at one of our hospitals in particular and had a chance to go into the emergency room and talk to all of the emergency medical professionals who were there to say thank you to them, because they are frontliners, and we were very grateful for their support. Thank you. Annie? Yes. Yes. Thank you. One more question. I'm sorry.
Oh, we didn't hear her question.
Yes.
What she said.
You heard the governor and I the other day, I think it was Friday or either Saturday, the days are running together now. I affirmed that I'm a praying mayor, and he affirmed how strongly he stood on his faith. When you look through the footage and you think about what could have been, had a gas
leak,
line,
gas line
been hit.
Very true. Very true.
I'm staying strong on my faith. I'm grateful to God. I am also thinking about everything that we need to do that you can't quantify by numbers. The social and emotional repair. That's why you constantly keep hearing me refer to the importance of us acknowledging trauma and the impacts that a tragedy like this can have on the city. Working on it, and we're working on making sure that we use every level of government. I know every time I say that word, people say, Mr. Secretary, intergovernmental collaboration. I mean, it sounds like, what's that thing? Is that important? Let me say this, Philadelphia, we can't get through this moment without working with our federal partners in Washington, along with our state legislators and our governor here. We all have to do it together. So I was fortunate in thinking about Philadelphia, and that we don't let politics get in the middle of us getting our work done here. So, no emotions, no pride, no ego here. These were professionals who got together, and they are doing that job, and I am so grateful. Thank you all so much.
Okay, very humble mayor. I guess that needs to be the focus. Keep everybody in line to not bring up politics, because you're talking about people who are hurt and people who have lost their lives. And yes, there is an impact on the city at this point because, there's debris. There are people working in conjunction with each other, the state, federal, and there's a lot of work to be done. Picking up the debris, analyzing the debris, and once again, the businesses, the people who now do not have a job until everything's cleared and made safe for everyone to go back to work. And she has made a very valid point. This could have been a very more catastrophic than what happened, because imagine exactly had the plane hit a gas line. You're talking about rows and rows and rows of buildings, houses, businesses up in flames. So that's a very valid point. Let's hear some more pertaining to someone who's inside of the hospital right now. Lord.
Mel Parker and city leaders provided another update today. She says this remains an ongoing and fluid situation. We do know the number of victims has increased, and today we are hearing from a woman whose family member was here on Common Avenue Friday night when that plane crashed and changed her life.
I'm just praying that I get to talk to her again and to tell her that she's loved, and that we are all here for her to help her get through this.
Chantal Fletcher says her 33-year-old cousin Dominique is one of the victims who were severely injured in Friday night's plane crash on Cottman Avenue.
She is in a medically induced coma. 70% of her body is burnt. She's responding well to medication.
Oh my goodness.
She has surgery scheduled for today.
Dominique was in the car with her longtime partner and his son, driving to Macy's at the Roosevelt Mall when the plane hit the ground just after 6, engulfing with fire everything in its path.
They never made it to Macy's. On their way there, that's when the plane had crashed, and their vehicle was near the blast area.
City leaders originally believed that in addition to the crash killing 7, 19 were injured.
Look at that plane. I mean, it was
Mayor Sherelle Parker
rolling
said
down.
that number has increased to 22.
Jeez.
5 of the victims remain hospitalized currently, and 3 of them are in critical condition.
NBC News has also confirmed the identities of the 6 individuals on board the Learjet 55. They were a captain, co-pilot, doctor, and paramedic, as well as a mother and daughter, a pediatric patient who received medical treatment at Shriners Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. All were Mexican citizens who were flying to Missouri.
Our city stands with them and every victim of this tragedy.
Chantal says while she hasn't spoken to her cousin since before Friday night's crash, doctors tell her family she's fighting and responding to medication, and her loved ones are going to be with her every step of the way.
Nobody can make sense of this because this is a tragedy, but something that you never think would ever happen.
As she understands the community has a lot of questions about what happened here on Friday night, her administration is setting up a town hall that is scheduled for this Wednesday, February 5th. However, a location has not yet been decided. Once we learn where it will take place, we will be sure to pass that along to you. Live in Northeast Philadelphia, I'm Brian Sheehan, NBC 10 News.
Okay, so the boyfriend was in the car with her. I was wondering, what is the state of the boyfriend who was in the car with this young lady? 70% of her body has been burned. She's in an induced coma. She's receptive to the meds, which is a good thing, but Lord have mercy, 70%, that's a lot. This is terrible. Don't know if she has children or not. And as you saw, some of the pictures, they're horrific. The one building where it was just literally a hole at the top floor of the building just burned. That's what's so interesting about the plane crash, just the effects it had from burning cars to burning buildings. I believe someone was deceased on top of the building from the plane wreckage. just debris going, 4 to 6 blocks allegedly. That plane was barreling down, as you saw just now in the video. You can just use your imagination. Seeing it fall out of the sky, it's barreling down. It was barreling down. So it was moving at a fast rate coming down. So you can imagine once it hit the ground, what destruction it would cause. I mean, sometimes it's hard to visualize naturally because you're not there. But when you see the debris is everywhere. And when you talk about, as I said, 4 to 6 blocks, that's a lot of debris. So you got to think about what happened to the little black boy in the car covering his sister. He's shielding her after the glass blew out of their car. He was in a car with his father, he and his sister, and then part of the plane was embedded in his head. He's also still in the hospital. We'll try to bring an update pertaining to, they're right here. I'm going to show that. Matter of fact, I'm going to show them now pertaining to the little boy, Andre. Prayers to Andre's family and Andre as well, and anyone affected.
Even Dunkin' Donuts, we're turning to Cotton, and you just hear a loud bang, fire, then black smoke. So tell the kids, get down. It sounded like a missile was firing bullets, metal at my car, everyone else's car. You see a car on fire, a man walking on fire.
Oh my gosh.
It was just
wow.
And then in the midst of backing up, I hear my son, Andre, and I turn around, he has metal out the side of his head. So trying not to be reactive, get out, get the kids out, take the metal. As I moved him, the metal fell out and there was just blood gushing. So I had a pair of socks, put it on his head. There's another guy gave me a shirt, put on his head, flagged the cop down. They came, they put all of us in the back of a cop car, took us to Jefferson Hospital.
And they went through with the brain surgery.
Yes, they did an A+ job on my son. Praise God, they did a great job on getting him back to recovery so he could come to CHOP, where he's now getting, again, grade A service. They are lovely here. I feel safe here with him. I feel like he's going to recover. He said his first real words today, asked me about the Super Bowl, but the thing that broke my heart with him today, and I tried to not cry, but it had me crying, Daddy, did I save my sister? Andre, what do you mean? When the plane crashed, I was just trying to help my sister. You told us to get down, and then she got up to look at the fire, and I grabbed her down, and the next thing you know, I thought I died.
Oh my gosh.
It kind of broke me down, so if I'm pausing right now, it's because I don't want to cry.
Wow.
But as a dad, it was a bittersweet moment. For one, knowing my son, he listened to me growing up, and he's becoming a great young man, a great big brother, to know to defend your sister. But as a dad, seeing my son like that, that's my job to protect him, not his job to protect his sister. But it's just, thank God that my son is still here. Thank God that we didn't go into that flame, because it could have been a different situation where we all could have transitioned to heaven. But I'm just happy that he's here.
Oh, mercy.
If you're 50.
Wow. What a story. What a story.
55 or over. Did you know there is a way to leave your loved ones
everybody.
with an inheritance?
Oh my goodness. Did I save my sister? Jeez. What a story. Yes, your sister's alive. Amen. Your dad's alive. Amen. And you are also alive, little Andre. Prayers to this family. Prayers for Andre's recovery. Oh, Lord. Thank God he did what his dad asked him to do, which was to get down. He got down, covered his sister. Let's hear another story. Woman missing after plane crash in Northeast Philadelphia. This is bad business, everybody.
That fiery and deadly medical jet crash in Northeast Philadelphia. The crash rocked the neighborhood on Friday night, leaving at least 7 people dead and 24 others injured. The NTSB has since recovered several pieces of evidence.
Look at that hole. Look at that hole.
box.
8 feet down.
It is Monday night.
Wow,
Sarah
wow,
is on
wow.
assignment. Sarah Bloomquist is joining us. And
Look
the
at
big
that
story in
hole.
Action News is that large-scale investigation playing out in Northeast Philadelphia after that medical jet crashed.
The impact left a crater on Cottman Avenue. State and city officials provided new details on the crash this afternoon. The number of fatalities remains at 7, the 6 people who were on the plane and the 1 person on the ground. Of the 24 people injured, 4 are still hospitalized and 2 remain in critical condition.
In terms of the investigation, both the FAA and the NTSB are looking into a number of factors, including the weather and any potential technical issues on the plane.
Action News reporter Walter Perez is live near the scene with more. Walter, the search continues for a woman who remains missing following the crash.
Oh, Lordy.
That's right, Sarah and Rick. This story has kind of flown under the radar the past couple of days. Her name is Sarah Stepp. As her family holds on to hope, she has not been seen since the night of the crash, her sister speaking exclusively with Action News.
Suzanne Lee Stepp says she knows that her 47-year-old sister, Sarah, was visiting her boyfriend in Northeast Philadelphia on the night of the medical jet crash. So when Suzanne heard news about the incident, she called her sister right away.
When I called her phone, it went straight to voicemail. She always answers my calls. So then I called her boyfriend, and he said he was worried.
Suzanne says he was worried because Sarah had recently left the house to get a bite to eat in the area where the plane went down. No one has heard from or seen Sarah Stepp since that night. Earlier today, during a news conference with federal, state, and local authorities, officials confirmed that the number of people injured stands at 24, 4 of whom are still in the hospital. The number of fatalities remains at 7, 6 people on the plane and 1 person on the ground. But Mayor Sherrell Parker emphasizes those numbers are subject to change as the investigation continues.
As much as we want to say, these are the absolute number of lives that have been lost. We're going to allow our experts, our partners at the local, state, and federal levels to continue to do their work.
In the meantime, Sarah Lee Stepp says, despite the circumstances surrounding her sister's disappearance, she is still hopeful that Sarah will come home.
My sister means the world to me.
Wow.
And Sarah, she's just a bubbly sunshine of joy. And without her, I don't know what I would do.
And while the investigation into the cause of the crash continues, the NTSB is expected to file a preliminary report in 30 days. Reporting live from Northeast Philadelphia, Walter Perez, Channel 6, Action News. Sarah?
Thank you, Walter.
Okay, so let's go back here, get a picture of this young lady. Ooh, mercy. Look at that crater. Now, up from the sky, you couldn't tell that was actually a hole. It just looks like a burnt space until you zoom in, which is right here. You can see that's a hole, okay? The box was down in there. The recorder box was down inside of the hole. Grace of God, they retrieved it, praying that it is not badly burnt up or in fragments, as they love to say, fragmented. I don't know what to say. It's just because I can't wrap my mind up around DC versus Philadelphia. It's just like, dear God, what is happening? Here's a young lady, Sarah Stepp. Sarah Stepp. If anyone in Philadelphia knows of this lady, you know that she is somewhere. Authorities, her family, I'm praying that she's alive. What is going to be awful is if indeed this young lady was hit by some type of debris from the plane and was incinerated, because you have to use common sense. The stories you're hearing pertaining to Andre, he was in a car that was hit with plane debris, and he ended up getting a piece of the plane in his head. The windows blew out of the car that his father was driving, and the parts of the plane, a piece of the plane went inside the window and was embedded in the child's head. Okay, don't know how big the piece of the plane was, but he had to have brain surgery. So far, he's doing okay. So then you heard the father also tell you he saw a guy walking down the street that was on fire. So if he saw a guy walking down on the street, for all we know, Miss Sarah is a part of that equation. I'm praying that she is not. a part of that equation. But that's why the mayor is saying we can't give you a definite number of people who were hurt and injured and or have perished, because that's what I was thinking at first when it was an issue of another black man missing. First thing I said was, well, wouldn't somebody see him lying on the ground, hit, by the debris? And then it dawned on me, well, if he became inflamed, he could have been incinerated. So you wouldn't have a whole body. You may only have pieces of a body. And we also heard that happened with the people on the plane. Somebody made it on top of a building. That's how steep the impact was when the plane fell out of the sky and hit the ground. It wasn't even up very high, from my understanding, but it fell nose first. It was traveling, I'm sure, at a very high speed, and it set cars, buildings on fire. I mean, one apartment building, literally, it's a hole at the top of the building. It's gone. It's missing. So if you can look at that building catching on fire, you can only imagine what it would have done to a human being sitting in a car or walking, sitting at a bus stop, so on and so forth. Yes, it is deep. This is tragic. As I said before, this is Sarah Stepp. She's currently missing. This was her sister speaking in this interview. If you know where Sarah is, please alert authorities or the family. Sarah, if you're out there, please contact someone to let them know that you are okay. This is serious business. I'm going to go to my community page because there was another story of a man missing, and I'm going to see if I can pull that content up. Welcome to the Vault XL. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129. Cash App, stickers, and chats are welcome during the live stream, bringing you an update pertaining to the DC helicopter crash, the Blackhawk crash, different information pertaining to the variances of where the plane and the was. And then we have this update pertaining to the crash in Philadelphia. Do not know what happened. Was it a mechanical issue? Was it a issue with the pilot? Did he become sick, hurt? Don't know. But these are the latest developments. This is crazy. Oh, I really want to talk about this ICE business. I may talk because I'm just an hour and 17 minutes into this live stream. So I might be able to go a little bit longer because there's some other content out. Oh, yes, I wanted to show this. I shared this with Mr. Seth Rogers. As everyone knows who Seth Rogers is. He's the father of Sebastian Rogers. This is one of the young ladies that was on the DC plane. She happens to be from Clarksville, Tennessee. Let's hear that information. Lord have mercy. Prayers to her family as well. Prayers to everyone who's perished in this. I'm so sick of these commercials. I might need to sign up for the YouTube TV where there are no commercials. Because I'm over these commercials. They just interrupting everything.
Helicopter crash that happened over DC last week. We now know that one of the passengers was a Tennessee native and a Vanderbilt University graduate. Sarah was from Clarksville and was one of the 67 people who died in that plane crash. Bess graduated summa cum laude from Vanderbilt before going to law school. She also worked as a high school teacher in both Memphis and in Nashville for 5 years before attending law school. Bess was 33 years old.
So that's two lawyers that were on the plane. The African-American female who teaches at, I believe it's Howard. She attended Harvard University. She was also an attorney.
There are new details.
So this is just a crazy situation. Two attorneys on the plane, both young, one Asian and one African-American. Prayers to their families as well. Boy, this is bad, 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 bad. Can't get any worse. Once again, Megan Boswell will be going to trial as soon as the jury is seated. Jury selection started yesterday here in East Tennessee. I will be bringing you an update pertaining to the trial this week as we get to said information. I'm going to come back and talk about that ICE situation. Also, number 47 has decided to put a hold on the tariffs for Mexico. There is a 1-month hold on Mexico tariffs. Please check out Selling the City. That's a new show I was watching. I finished it yesterday. It's pertaining to high-end real estate in New York and also selling Tampa Bay. I finished it tonight. So just bringing you all a couple of updates. Once again, the black box from the medical jet has been retrieved. And here is one of the pilots of the DC crash, Jonathan Campos. He was one of the pilots. The plane. Also, Chris Collins, husband from NYC, killed in DC crash. Christine Lane, New Jersey native. Just bringing you updates pertaining to people who have lost their lives in the DC crash. Once again, condolences to their families. Oh, Lord. And I'm also, let's talk about Houston right quick. I did a short, not a short, but a upload video. I didn't do a live because I keep getting all these trolling in the chat. That's the reason why the comments have been off of my videos, because it breaks up the continuity of the content. But I decided to go ahead and let the comments roll since I'm late in the morning. But the interruptions are just, they're too much to deal with. And it's a waste of my time going live trying to exact all this nonsense.
Out of Houston, Texas, after a United airplane caught fire at Bush's airport right there. It did have to be evacuated. So far, no reports of any injuries, but I did want to share some video that's coming into our studio. Take a listen. That was some video right there that we did want to share with you from our Fox 26 Houston. Meanwhile, you are taking a live look at Houston, Texas right now. I did want to share some more information about the flight from Houston to New York that did have to be evacuated after it caught fire during takeoff. That's according to the FAA. And the very latest is that the FAA says the crew of United Airlines Flight 1382 had to stop their takeoff from George Bush Intercontinental Airport because of a reported engine issue. That happened at around 8:35 a.m. local time this morning. We shared video acquired by with you showing that the wing of the plane caught on fire. And in that video, you heard a flight attendant asking for passengers to stay in their seats. One of those passengers pushing back, saying, "It's on fire." Now, some passengers did have to use the emergency slide to get off the plane. That's according to the Houston Fire Department. No injuries were reported, and the FAA currently investigating the situation. I also wanted to share this with you. This is a statement from the spokesperson of the FAA on this incident, saying, quote, "The crew of United Airlines Flight 1382 safely aborted its takeoff from the George Bush Intercontinental Houston Airport in Texas due to a reported engine issue at around 8:35 a.m. local time on Sunday. Passengers deplaned on the runway and were bused to the terminal. The Airbus A319 was flying to LaGuardia Airport in New York. The FAA will investigate, contact the airline for additional information." So some breaking news coming into our live now from Fox Studios right here as we are taking a live look of Houston, Texas, after a United plane caught fire at the airport. One of the wings apparently caught fire. Everyone on board evacuated, and no reported injuries at this time. Any new information, we, of course, will bring that to you right here on Live Now from Fox.
So what happened on that flight? What happened on that flight? Okay. People were trying to get off of there. You got an airline stewardess saying, "Hey, get up. sit down, excuse me, sit down. People probably say, no, I don't want to sit down. I don't want to get off this damn plane. I don't care that it's not in the air. I want to get off of here. And that's a natural reaction. You're panicking. You want to get off. You don't want to wait to see how fast the fire is going to brew up the wing. So what happened on that flight? Allegedly something about the engine. When was the last time the plane was checked? How many people were aboard the flight? It was on its way to New York. Imagine that plane catching fire mid-flight. Thank God it caught fire while it was still on the ground. Amen. And thank God no one was injured. Lord have mercy. What a hot mess. I'm trying to find this content pertaining to this one other guy that's missing, everybody. That's what I'm looking for. Bringing you all these set updates. Check out my community page for set updates. I have not put up any new polls because I didn't want to ask any questions pertaining to any of these latest incidents, because it'd just be everybody speculating. So I don't want to put anything up there pertaining to what has happened in both incidents. Well, now even Houston, now there's 3 incidents in less than a week. This is just bad. I'm trying to find this content. Once again, there was a landslide in Laguna Beach. Still more nonsense with that. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. I don't know if I got it on here or not. Well, look at Queen. She's top listener of Mo3 Music. Shut your mouth. God rest his soul. I gotta find that. Let's see. Well, man missing from Philadelphia crash. Let's see. Lord have mercy. It don't want to do nothing. I should have looked at my history. All right, everybody, let's see what they're saying here. Pertaining to this incident. Lord have mercy.
2 days since that plane came crashing down near Roosevelt Mall, countless people impacted. Those who lost loved ones, those whose homes were significantly damaged by flying plane debris and embers, and those who still haven't heard from their loved ones. Kelly, you spoke with the family of a man who's been missing since Friday. His last known location was on Cottman Avenue. What's his family telling you?
Well, Sheba, first of all, the family wants everyone to take a very close look at the pictures we're about to show you of 38-year-old Jason Rodriguez. Like you said, he was shopping on Friday night. His last location on Cottman Avenue, near where the plane crashed. His phone is off now. They say it's completely unlike him to go off the grid like this. They are trying to stay positive, but they're fearing the worst.
Right now, we need him. And my family needs him. My kids need him.
Katrina Rodriguez and her daughter hoping for the best, but fearing the worst. She says the last time she heard from her big brother, 38-year-old Jason Rodriguez, he was shopping on Cottman Avenue Friday afternoon.
My brother takes his time because he got a bad foot. And he was on foot. He wasn't in a car. I had a message from him saying that he was done shopping and he was going to go around the rest of the stores. And after that, I texted him about an hour later, no response. It was just ringing, and it was going straight to voicemail.
Katrina says before his phone went off, Jason's last location was on Cottman Avenue in the area of where the Learjet medical transport plane crashed shortly after 6 p.m. She says Jason lives with her, a father figure to her kids, never turns his phone off. She says she's looked everywhere, called hospital.
Okay, new update. I brought that. First it said 3 hours ago. Wait 1 second, everybody. Well, now it's jumping off. Hold on. He's been located, this man. That's why I was wanting to make sure I brought that information. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Jesus wept. This was uploaded earlier. 11:09. Well, are they going to show me the information? It says a man reported missing by his family after the deadly plane crash in Northeast Philadelphia has been located. Okay, good. I didn't see anything else pertaining to that. So he's been located. I was wondering, I hadn't heard anything from anybody. So this man's been located. Amen. I guess I didn't know I was going to show this content, but he's been found. So I don't know where he was. This article's not opening up to show me where they found him. Let's see. They said the man, Paul James Asman, is that his name? Paul? 23 is found in New Jersey. Oh, no, that's not right. Oh, Lord, here we go. They put other articles in here that don't have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Let's see what they're saying about him. Where did they find him? He was found in Bensalem. Mr. Rodriguez. Okay. He's 38 years of age. It says on Monday, law enforcement and Rodriguez's family confirmed he was located safe. So I wonder why he didn't call anybody to let them know he was safe. Good Lord, that is crazy. You got to tell people where you are. Can't let the people wonder, how you're doing. You got to let them know, hey, I'm fine. Jeepers creepers. All right, everybody. Let's go to Cali right quick. I got a little time. I'll just make it a full-on live. 1 hour and 32 minutes into this live stream, 2-part live. DC crash and Philadelphia crash, bringing you updates. Feel free to go to my community page. The content is played. Most of I've got it on my community page. Let's see what they're talking about a day ago, California.
Here, as if they were going to be taken into custody, placed under arrest, more like just getting them off of this roadway. But it does appear like that is now cleared. You're on Los Angeles Street, if I remember correctly. So it looks like the overpass is now cleared. Yeah. So tell us what you see behind you, how far back that goes, and whether police, you think, are going to kind of start sweeping to get people out of this general area away from the 101.
But you got to go to bed, Godfrey.
So let me show you two things that are important real quick, because I think to show you exactly where we are. Let's go over in this direction. So we have the road that runs along the 101 as well. You see all those orange flashing lights, yellow flashing lights. I know obviously it's a little bit dark out here, but just to give you a sense, that's Aliso Street, right? We were there at 6 o'clock. People were blocking the intersection there, and we saw this huge swarm of LAPD kind of come up that street to try to dissipate the crowd. And guess what happens? You move the crowd from that location, they end up at another location. And because it's been so packed over here, they were able to
I do too, Doctor. That's messing up my sleep pattern, staying up too late.
And that's where they have been sitting for the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. If we turn back around real quick, you can see police, LAPD has gotten a good control on trying to block traffic. For the entirety of the afternoon we've been out here, these roads have been open to cars. Now, not to say cars are moving or cars are moving particularly fast, but many of them were protesters, and you had some other people within the crowd trying to drive through. So people have been walking through, weaving their way through crowds. Now, it seems LAPD has gotten to the point where they have this crowd on this intersection here, and most of the streets in the immediate vicinity kind of shut off. Obviously, with the riot gear and with the officers here, there's a concern that there may be potentially arrest or confrontation. That has not happened. This has been peaceful. Obviously, they got on the 101 several times over the course of this afternoon. But at the moment, this crowd really just started gathering here in the last 15, 20 minutes. You see them having very lively conversations face-to-face with police. It's not escalated to this point, but obviously this is the particular area we're keeping an eye on. And if you look up the street as well, these protesters go all the way up to the following street as well. So there's still easily hundreds, if not several thousand, still out here.
All right, Tim, we are hearing from CHP that they gave a dispersal order earlier this afternoon. Is that something that you possibly have heard on the ground that people are just ignoring? Or do you think it's possible that these protesters did not know they had been ordered to disperse?
So there's been kind of several different kind of bumps throughout the day, right? So the protest started earlier today. They got onto the 101 at one point, and there was essentially a line of CHP, a dozen cars, 25 cars that lined up, and all the protesters right at this intersection where we are. And I'll show you here behind me because they're not here now, but I just want to give you a sense of where they were, right? Because they all walked down this on-ramp here initially, and they got onto the 101 right there. And when there was a bit of a standoff, right? It took a good hour and a half where nobody moved. And then eventually, after that order came down, the people eventually worked their way back up the off-ramp itself onto these streets here. I'm going to walk you down a little bit to show you. I know the action's in the other direction where all the people are and LAPD is, but you're asking about a little bit earlier. So that dispersal happened when they were on the 101 itself, and you see what's happening here because this is the road, but they're not letting them down. This is where they initially went down, and you see with the police tape up here, even all the garbage on the ground for the people who were walking down there and protesting earlier today, they are not letting anyone, protesters, cars, otherwise go down this street. That's where it began, but then eventually when many of those people came up onto these streets in downtown, they were covering all the streets. They initially went to City Hall, they kind of went and over the place. There's so many protesters out here that they're essentially on every street corner, or at least have been. Now the group is a little bit smaller, and they seem to have gathered on this corner here, Arcadia and Los Angeles Street, and that's where LAPD has kind of closed in on this group and now essentially trying to disperse them. But this just happened in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, so it's going to be a little time.
They're trying to do what they can to clear any room. We'll walk along with you, Tim. I think the northbound side of the 101 looks like it just had an escort and might be open. We had said it was open before, but I believe that was just clearing the cars that were trapped there. And the southbound side moving once again. Okay, so we can report here at 6:41 that the 101 freeway appears to be back open in both directions. So they have cleared that overpass of Los Angeles Street where Tim is on, and it looks like they're also trying to back some protesters away from those side streets, Aliso, which overlooks the 101 freeway on one side, and then Arcadia, which overlooks the freeway where you are pointing right now. And so we'll see if they continue to push those protesters back. I think from what we can tell, it looks like things might have calmed down a little bit once police stepped in to kind of show where things were going, where protesters were allowed. They're not going to allow them to do this. Or we could, as we've seen before, this group kind of regroup, reposition themselves, and find another way to get on the freeway. It's just a matter of seeing what this group does and what their motivations are and how motivated they are to continue this disruption.
Yeah, and one of the things we're hearing right now is all those horns that are honking from people that are riding on the freeway. As those have been signs of possible support from cars that might entice them to want to stay out there longer as they're trying to get their message out there. And for the cars driving along the freeway that are kind of honking and encouraging them to stay, then that might increase the chances that they won't disperse as soon as they can.
Yeah. And we can see you from Air 7 at the top of your screen. There is Tim and our cameraman Will. Los Angeles Street overpass over the 101 freeway. A large group has gathered on Arcadia Street and Los Angeles Street overlooking the 101 freeway. And we have not heard any fireworks go off in the last few minutes. I say that knocking on wood, hoping that does not change. But Tim, what does it sound like from ground level of what's going on there?
Well, this all happened very quickly. In fact, after we talked to you guys at 6 o'clock, we were working our way back to our van, which is just on the other side of this crowd. We actually walked a long way around, following the initial crowd that marched along one street over from where we are, and back to Los Angeles Street. And when we got here, that's when a handful of people found a kind of sneaky way to get on an on-ramp back onto the 101. And once that happened, it was kind of like a melee for a second, because everyone saw the people on the freeway, and then everyone was kind of running around trying to figure out, hey, they too get on the freeway. CHP shut that down quick. But what ended up happening was, as people were overlooking, like right from here, on folks who were on the freeway, this area right here on Los Angeles Street started to get pretty packed, because everyone was watching the folks on the freeway on this corner and on that corner. And then what happened is this entire intersection got packed with people because everyone was looking at the folks on the freeway. Those folks get kicked off the freeway, come up here, and that's why you have this kind of mix of this kind of lively crowd, as I've been calling it for the last really.
Okay, I'm going to interject here. Now, Gottfried, how are they going to pick up all these people? Just imagine if half of those people are actually illegals. My thing is, where's everybody going to go? Where are you going to take them? One country, Mexico didn't want them. About what, 2 weeks ago, they didn't want them. So the plane had to go somewhere else. So then they took them to another country, and then that country took them. I can't remember which country it was. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to make. You got to think about, one, picking them up, detaining them, having a facility to detain the people, then putting them on a plane. Then you take them places where the people can deny you. So then now you got to fly around somewhere else trying to drop these people off. I don't want people in the country that shouldn't be here, but I also have to use common sense. You're probably talking about hundreds and thousands, maybe even millions of people who live in the United States, who have been here for 20 years, 30 years, 10 days, 1 month, and they are not legal. And yes, I do have a problem with anybody being here windedly and don't try to fight for citizenship, ask for citizenship. I don't agree with you walking around here 10, 15 years and you got damn kids that speak English and you don't. That looks crazy to me. Because I right now would not want to go abroad anywhere and visit long-windedly and I can't speak the language. It's not even going to be enjoyable if I'm somewhere and I can't speak French. I haven't spoken French since the 7th grade. Yeah, I'm a little rusty. My Spanish is rusty. But you see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go anywhere and stay. For what? I'm not trying to end up dead because somebody is smiling in my face. Come. Next thing you know, they're robbing me and throwing me in a damn ditch because I don't know their damn native tongue. But what I'm trying to say is you have to use deduction. You're talking about, as I said, God knows, only God knows how many people are actually living here unauthorized. Now, the stickler is they're only supposed to be picking up people who have violent histories. But we have heard from people saying, no, they're picking up people who did not have any violent criminal records. And I believe that. Now, some people want to argue and say, no, that's not true. No, I think it is true. I think ICE was just picking up anybody that looked like a damn Hispanic person. And you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to stick to the protocol. Because that's why I said if you're going to do that, then how many planes are you just going to be shipping people out? Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. And yes, I have a heart. I don't want people, families broke up, children stuck here without their mom, their dad. But as I said, it's a flip side to it. I also want you to be legal. So it's a double-edged sword. And as I said, you got to talk about housing them to get them to a plane. Then you got to decide where you're going to fly them to. It ain't just no easy fix. I don't even know how many people can even fit on the planes that they're putting the people on. And you're talking about doing this for how long? Gathering up the people, detaining them, putting them on a plane, flying the plane where exactly? Because they have to go somewhere. And you can't make a country take them. It doesn't work like that. You can just fly a plane somewhere in somebody's airspace and then land the plane. We don't want people doing it here in American airspace. So now I'm going to ask that question. Why are you picking up everybody? Are you picking up also Asian people? Because there are a lot of Asian people who have flown around the world to get to Mexico, to squeeze through the gate, if you didn't know this, and sold everything they got. And guess how they learned how to do it? Through a YouTube video. I brought you all that information a while ago. Okay, that's it. Don't come in this chat arguing. You'll get blocked. You'll get blocked. I'm talking about common sense. You're not the ones detaining them, and you're not the ones putting them in a detention center, and you're not the one paying it. You're not paying for nothing. The point is, you can't just take them somewhere. Doesn't work like that. It don't matter if you don't want them here. You can't make a country take the people. That's the point I'm making. Okay, so Gottfried, that's what I'm trying to make you understand. Do you actually know the numbers of people who are actually illegal in the United States? That's all I'm saying. I want you to think about how many people are actually illegal, and you want every illegal gone. You're not thinking logically of what it's going to take to scoop up everybody illegal, put them in a detaining facility, wherever, put them on a plane. That costs money. And then they have to go somewhere. And as I said, you can't make a country take the people. So that's where you have a problem. You all can't have it both ways. You want the people, you want all illegals gone, or you only want the ones with criminal records gone. But then, as I said, no matter who they pick up, you still have to ship them somewhere. Well, you can't make a country take them. You don't have a right. America don't have the right to make some country, random country, take illegal migrants, or however you want to word it. You just can't make somebody take the people. Just like America wouldn't want a plane flying over here and just dropping off people over here. Well, it's the same thing. You just can't go to somebody's country and just drop people off. It don't work like that.
30 or 40 minutes of the folks who came up on the 101 saw Ellie kind of was flipping them off, getting angry, yelling things at LAPD, and that's when you started to see even more officers come out here, including the tactical unit, and kind of creating this line to prevent them from going either on the freeway itself or blocking any more of these streets. This is, I mean, you can see better from Air 7, but this is easily 10, 15 people deep here, and it goes all the way up the street. On the front lines, they're holding signs, they are exchanging a few words here and there, but again, this is kind of the same vibe it was 5 or 6 o'clock this evening as they were protesting and walking through the streets. It's just now LAPD has kind of closed in and made the area where they're hanging out a little bit smaller. And obviously...
Now, Buddha has a very good point. You're now talking about trafficking people. Although they are illegal, so you do have a right to remove them. Yes, you do. Very good point. So that's why I keep trying to tell everybody. It's easy to just spew out stuff, but you have to think of, yes, a person's civil rights. Although they're illegal, you still can't just, as I just said, you can't just throw them into another man's country, another woman's country. It doesn't work like that. For the very reason that people are complaining about illegals coming here, no matter if they're from the UK, China, Iraq, don't matter, Africa, wherever, don't care. The point is, you cannot force a country, continent, to take people. Doesn't work like that. You just can't go fly a plane somewhere and then just drop them off in somebody's airspace. You can't do that. Because America has a stickler about what they don't want going on over here. Well, you have to have the same respect for somebody else. That's why we have this issue now. That's why I said this wall issue could have been done many moons ago. I don't care who was in office, Bill Clinton, Ford, Nixon. I don't care. I'm not here to argue none of that. It should have been done, or we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. You've had ample enough years to secure all points from here to New York to Canada to Washington State, Texas. This doesn't make any sense. This should have been done. Just like trafficking these people from state to state to state. That was stupid because a lot of the people were telling you, we don't have the room for the people, such as New York. New York is not the place to be shipping anybody. I don't give a damn if you're free. New York don't got no room. So you busting those people from Denver, Colorado, all the way to New York. That don't make no sense. That didn't make no sense. New York is not a place for anybody. Just keep it real. It's a little bitty island. It's called a Big Apple. Well, it's not big. The buildings are big. The island is just a small circumference of space. It's not big at all. The people don't got no room that live there. So what would make you ship these people across the United States all the way to New York? That was a stupid idea. Then next thing you know, you're putting them in swanky hotels. Next thing you know, it became a ruckus last year with these people acting out, beating up the police. So finally, New York finally decided to get some sense about themselves, the mayor, and say, okay, that's enough. We got to get these people out of here because they're terrorizing the city. They're committing crimes. Exactly. So I get it. We don't want anybody here violent. We have enough violence in America. We don't need no extra parties coming over here, beating up people, beating up police, sexually assaulting children, women, committing crimes, trafficking drugs, whatever the crimes are. But the point is, it's easier said than done to just say, go pick the people up, go get them. You still got to take them somewhere, even if you pick them up, whether they've been here 5 days, they've been here 7 months, they've been here 7 years. They have to go somewhere. And that's the problem. So that's why I said, had America built a secure border on all points from south to east to west, we wouldn't be talking about this nonsense. Because really, that's all America has been doing for the past, 2 or 3 years. It's just shipping the people around from place to place. And every city is saying the same thing. Well, we ain't got no room. Hey, we ain't got the resources. And that's what people don't seem to understand. You can't make a place have resources. Most of America is rural. So what should we do? I'm just saying. I'm a logical speaking person. That's where I come from. It don't matter what I think. It don't matter how I feel about migrants. I have to use deduction and common sense. You cannot just make shit happen overnight. And you can't make people take the damn migrants. And I'm telling you, and I said this to somebody day before yesterday. Or no, I said it to this guy yesterday. I said it to this counselor yesterday. I said, if you all think you had a problem with the riots January 6th at the Capitol, you see this right here? Keep doing this right here. Firing of all these people that worked in these alleged DEI programs that they weren't working in. You're firing random people for no fucking reason. You're going to have some people storming some shit up there, and it ain't going to be the Capitol. It's going to be the whole damn White House. You're going to have armed guards shooting people because people are going to be lashing out for various reasons, not just this ICE stuff, but all that firing shit that's going on up there with Donald Trump. Random people losing their jobs, being put on leave, even though they're having pay, they're getting, put on leave with pay. It's still it felt secure. And when people feel uncomfortable and when people feel like their rights are being violated, that's when people act out. So you're probably going to see a whole lot of this and some other random people that are natural born citizens acting out, not just people rooting for migrants and migrants. You're going to probably have regular citizens who feel alienated at this point. People who go to work every day, they just happen to be working remotely from home, but now they're probably going to have to find them another job. This shit ain't working. It don't matter if you like it or not, you agree or not. The point is, this ain't working. This ain't working at all. And you're going to keep having a problem until you secure the border. So for all these people you go pick up, what's the point if the border ain't secure? That's my point. You're defeating the purpose of picking them up and shipping them somewhere when you still got people sliding through, swimming over here. What's the point? This shit ain't working.
the moment, it's quiet, but who knows how long it's going to last. There are hundreds, if not thousands of people still out here.
For sure, Tim. You've been calling it a lively crowd. And as you mentioned, you've been out there for us all afternoon kind of covering this. Do you think some of the people that we're seeing were not originally part of this protest and have kind of just joined in? And is that contributing?
Don't matter about finding a job in 8 months. You can't make somebody find a job in 8 months. Why should they have to find a job? Should have to find a job.
A different mentality. I can tell you, there were a lot of cars trying to get in, trying to park, trying to join the.
Grace, do you want us to tell you to go find a job in 8 months? No, you don't. So long as somebody is doing their job effectively, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Nobody has the right to tell somebody, hey, we're going to put you on leave just because they want to talk about this diversity bullshit. Don't make me get crunk, because I wasn't trying to get crunk during this live stream. This live stream was really about the plane crashes. I just had this in my history and I wanted to play to let everybody know what's going on in California. I'm not here to argue about none of this. You know why? Because I don't have no control. And that's the mantra that I'm on from here on out. I don't have control over nothing that goes on in America. Nothing. So I'm not getting ready to bang my head against the wall pertaining to Donald Trump, Susie Mae, Mickey Mouse. That ain't my type of hype. I'm not about to be miserable because I got my own fucking problems. And you can best believe ain't nobody in the White House helping me with my current dilemma. Nobody. I gotta fix it, not nobody else. So I ain't getting ready to bang my head about nothing. All I'm saying is you can't make a country take people. That's the. And with the wall not being secure, the borders, you can pick up all these people right here. Let's say all those people standing out there are migrants, or half of them. It ain't gonna matter if you pick them up and take them wherever the hell you think you're gonna take them when you can't. Duh. You ain't got a wall secure, and there's more people coming in to replace the people you're putting on the fucking airplane. Come on now. Wake up.
In the protest throughout the course of the afternoon. These folks are no more lively than they were earlier today. I'm using that word because I feel like that's a kind way to say a non-violent protest that is obviously full of passion, full of heart, and full of true, deep meaning for the people who have come out here, some of them for the entirety of the day, 6-7 hours out here protesting. Many of these folks, and I've seen some of them from earlier today, from a couple hours ago, they've just been out here for hours. And I think maybe it's the police kind of pushing in a little bit. Everyone's, nerves go up a little bit. But obviously this crowd, they've been setting off fireworks. They've been blowing the horns. They've been waving the flags. They've been blowing the whistles and everything. That's been a constant, essentially, through the course of the day. It's now a little bit more compact, so it seems a little bit more intense. But we've seen this through the course of the afternoon.
All right, great points that you're making there. I mean, they want to get their message out there, and they are certainly doing it. I mean, we're able to see, some of the signs that are there, which are using some very strong language, some 4-letter words, to express their feeling toward the Trump administration and towards these, deportations that we've seen in the past couple weeks or so. So they're making their voices heard. We see this young lady here, dancing, and she has a Mexican flag with her. So, they are passionate, as you said, and they want to get that message out there.
And this has not been isolated to Los Angeles. This was a nationwide movement today, just looking around the country to see where this has been happening. We're looking at Atlanta, Charlotte, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, San Jose, St. Louis, Seattle, Houston, most major cities in the United States and some smaller ones. Idaho Falls here held a protest this weekend. This is happening nationwide in response to President Trump's administration and his handling of deportations of those here in this country illegally. We know that it was a campaign promise. He said day one, he's signing an executive order and will begin deportations on Inauguration Day. January 20th, they began in cities, including here in Los Angeles. But what has happened is instead of getting rid of violent offenders who are in this country illegally, those who have other than entering this country illegally or overstaying their visa, those who do not have permission to be here right now are also being swept up in these raids and deported. And that is part of the reason why there are so many people upset tonight.
Yeah, we also want to mention too, out in the Inland Empire, there was a similar protest today against the Trump administration immigration policies with several hundred people there on Tyler and Magnolia. That was in Riverside. also taking to the streets with those signs, with those flags, even crossing intersections there. So we are seeing and have been focusing on kind of what's happening in downtown Los Angeles tonight, but across our area. Again, another peaceful demonstration happening today earlier also in Riverside to just protest these mass deportations that have now been carried out by the new administration.
So on the left side of your screen, a live picture from the ground of the 101 freeway now flowing once again in both directions. On the right side of your screen is a live picture from Air 7. And it looks like a large bulk of that group that is gathered near where Tim Caputo has been reporting is breaking up and traveling east on Los Angeles Street, away from the 101 freeway. Again, we want to track where they're going and what they plan on doing. But Tim Caputo is live on the scene right now on Los Angeles Street. Tim.
Yeah, it seems like a coordinated effort for this group to move, not necessarily forced by LAPD themselves. We've noticed over the course of the afternoon as well, there have been a handful of leaders who have been very vocal in kind of getting the crowd to either move in that direction towards City Hall, which is around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then another movement away from City Hall around 5:45. And just in the last, you mentioned it, Jory, 5 minutes or so, this large group now moving away from this intersection here at Arcadia Street and Los Angeles Street and moving down towards it's up where they're going at this point, but certainly the confrontation line, which was up against these LAPD officers, has kind of dissipated a little bit as they move farther away. We'll try to get a handle on exactly where they're going, but obviously moving farther from the 101 is good news, certainly for drivers as they've gotten on the freeway several times over the course of today. But at the moment, at least this intersection here, there seems to be obviously a handful of people hanging out, but the vast majority already moving down Los Angeles Street. There is a big kind of square around the corner here where some other protesters were gathering just around 6 o'clock, 6:15 tonight. They could be headed there as well. There were speakers there. There were kind of chants and cheering there as well. It was a much different feel than here, and that may be where they're headed, but certainly it seems like the de-escalation efforts here seem to be working as many of the folks are moving away.
Yeah, Tim, you've been covering this for us, and you have been speaking with people. That sometimes in live coverage can be a little bit dangerous because you don't know what people are going to get on live TV and say, or if they're going to be cussing or whatever. But you have been speaking with a lot of people out there today. What is their sentiment? What have they been telling you about why they wanted to come out, and even the energy in the crowd? What can you share?
So listen, there's a lot of folks here who are deeply impacted by these immigration policies, by these deportations from ICE, and just the way the Trump administration has gone about it. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of concern, and it's more than just personal. It's your family members, it's your cousins, it's your aunts, it's your grandparents. These are people that they're genuinely worried about out here, and a lot of them have said the same thing: as we want to be the voice for them, because some have been deported, some of them are under threat of being deported. They're not willing to come out here, so they want to be the voice of those people, their loved ones, their family members, their friends. And that's the reason that they came out here. Like I said, they're very passionate about this as well. They want to be known that they are not taking this lightly. They want their voices to be heard. Many of them understand that this may go nowhere when it comes to the Trump administration and Washington hearing their concerns. But there's also a sense of community that I've talked to a lot of people about here. People who said, listen, it's not just Mexican flags out here. There are a lot of countries and a lot of families of folks who are impacted by this, and together to see this crowd, to see how riled up and pumped up people are out here, makes them feel like there is a community and that there is purpose and impact in what they're doing out here. And I think that's why you're seeing such a, as I put it, lively crowd out here, because it's not just a policy that just happens in thin air. This is a policy that's happening to family. This is a policy that's happening to friend. I do want to get a look at more LAPD coming in here as well. Those sirens going as they bring more officers to this area. But I think that's the sentiment out here. And I think that's why it's very personal for a lot of folks. And that's why they definitely wanted to come out here to have their voices heard, to let the Trump administration know, to let the federal government know, to let the mayor's office, the governor's office, any elected official who can possibly help them know that they are out here, they want to be helped, and they have family members and friends and loved ones who need the help as well.
Yeah.
We're watching right now, Tim, from up above. Some of those protesters have gone down Los Angeles Street, which as it travels to the east, curls around and spills out onto Alameda, right in front of Union Station, which is what you are looking at right now. Union Station is down at the bottom of your screens, those kind of dark roofs, and over to the right, you can see the White Tower of Union Station. Alameda is running left to right, and the 101 freeway is on the left there. So you can see Los Angeles Street curls up and around to where that main gathering of protesters are, and now it is complete gridlock across Los Angeles. We have the Grammys going on a bit to the west and to the south, and a lot of pedestrians now walking down Alameda, some bicyclists.
A lot of people that was
in the roadway on Alameda.
Ago.
They can't get onto the 101. They're spilling now into the side streets and disrupting traffic there as well.
Yeah, so just an interesting situation playing out right now.
Now, not for disrupting the flow of business and traffic, because it's dangerous. I don't care what you're protesting. We're going to show you something from yesterday pertaining to protests. Hold on, everybody. This is daylight. It looks like this is daytime. This is yesterday. Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. What is to become of this country? I have no idea, but it's not looking good. Nothing is looking good. This is probably the most horrific first of a new year since January 2021. It's no rhyme or reason. I don't see anything getting better, quite frankly. All I can say is, hope you believe in somebody. I believe in Jesus, so that's who I'm going to lean on. That's all I got at this point. All right, I'm trying to bring you an update pertaining to the protests. So that was February 3rd at 8:35 in the morning. Hold on. These are the states with the ICE protests. California, Texas. I believe it's at Georgia. Okay. Just give me your demographic of the places they were protesting. February 1st through the 2nd.
Right now.
A New York Times Ipsos poll carried out from January 2nd through the 10th found that 55% of voters strongly or somewhat supported such plans. 88% supported deporting immigrants who are here illegally and have criminal records. Large majorities of both Democrats and Republicans agreed that the immigration system is broken. The president promised to remove 11.7 million undocumented people from the country. So that's what I was saying. It's not just about people having criminal records. I knew it wasn't just about the people with criminal records. There's no way I believe it was just going to be people with criminal records being deported. And we heard people saying regular people who were immigrants, so let's just say regular immigrants with no criminal history were being deported. So it's reported here they're saying that number 47 promised 11.7 million undocumented people from the country. While removing undocumented people with criminal records is popular politically, deporting undocumented people who have built businesses and getting rid of birthright citizenship and temporary protected status visas are all unpopular strategies for fixing the immigration system. ICE agents have been picking up citizens, including veterans and Native Americans, as part of their mass deportation raids, showing that Trump administration is not being selective in who they're trying to deport. And that is another complaint, that they're picking up people who look Hispanic, but they're not. They're Native Americans and they were born here. So now you're profiling, which is against the law. You cannot be profiling. You're picking up people who are not even illegal. They actually live here. So you're mixing up the people with brown skin and dark hair. So this is where we have a problem. This is where we have a problem. Protests against ICE took place over the weekend in California, Texas, Arizona, Arkansas, Missouri, Georgia, and North Carolina. The largest demonstrations over the weekend were in California and Texas. Thousands of people turned out to Los Angeles on Sunday to protest mass deportation, blocking the 101 freeway downtown, which is what you see right here. Okay, let's see. I lost my place. Sorry about that. Marchers chanted slogans such as "No one is illegal" and "Si se puede." The Los Angeles Police Department declared the demonstration to be unlawful at around 8 p.m. and started to use non-lethal weapons to break up the crowd. 2 protests occurred outside of Dallas City Hall on Sunday afternoon as part of a national movement. Legalization for all and an end to unjust immigration policies. And another protest happened in Conroe, Texas on Saturday. Demonstrators were marching against several Trump policies, including getting rid of birthright citizenship. So how do you all feel about the birthright citizenship? I talked about that earlier last week. Go into the library and content on that. How do you feel about babies born here, children born here, and now the citizenship will be stripped because their parents are not legal. So now that poses another problem, okay? Okay, so it says here, including getting rid of birthright citizenship, which civil rights groups have said is a violation of the 14th Amendment, opening Guantanamo Bay as a holding center for deported individuals, and detaining undocumented people with jobs as opposed to only deporting undocumented people with criminal records. An Arizona city that borders Mexico declared a state of emergency following Trump's immigration crackdown. Mayor Jose Grigava of Douglas explained that his city relies on migrants for economy, and without migrants, the town will need federal funds in order to function. Trump's border Cesar Tom Homan has said he will construct family facilities to house deported undocumented parents if they are removed from the country with their children, and said the Pope should not speak out against U.S. deportation. Pope Francis has called the practice disgraceful. So let's see. Tom Homan said he will construct family facilities. I don't know about that. Because imagine if you grab a person, but they're not with their kid, then how's that going to work? See, this is going to be a big old mess. Because I don't believe in anybody separating their children, illegal or not. I don't want children separated from their parents. So I do have a problem with that. The protests coincided with the beginning of Trump's trade war against Mexico. The Trump administration has imposed 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports, which I just told you all earlier during the live stream, that Trump is halting 1 month of tariffs on Mexico. Right now, the Chinese, they have decided to exact revenge against America, pertaining to putting some type of tax on the oil or the gas or something. I read just a little while ago. Oh, it's just, I can't even keep up because there's so much going on. Okay, so let's see. Trump believes this will reduce the flow of fentanyl into the country and a right of trade deficit imbalance. That's not true. This is what I keep saying. Mr. Trump is not thinking. Nobody cares. The people in Mexico don't give a fuck about drugs. They can't even control the people in their own country. They're killing each other in Mexico. So what do the people crossing the border care about fentanyl? They don't care. So you arresting these people and deporting them is not going to stop people from coming into the country, is what I just said. How is you can deport as many people as you want, but as so long as the border is not secure, the people are finding their way to get here, rather to traffic drugs, they're criminals, illegal, whatever you want to call them. What does that have to do with the drugs? If the borders aren't secure, as I said, you can traffic 1,000, try to pick up all these people and take them out of the country, but it's not going to matter if the border isn't secure. That's where this is a problem. This is a problem.
Anti-ICE protests happening right now in downtown LA.
Fox 11's Christy Barhunter, she's live there with more on all of that, and there is a whole lot going on.
Yeah, they issued a dispersal order about 15 minutes ago, and you can see they're starting to move in to disperse. They were making an announcement up from the helicopters a short while ago. We could not make out what they were saying, as you just saw someone threw something in the direction of the LAPD officers. But the police have been staging and getting ready to move in and are now doing so. But I got to tell you that a short while ago, if you had come out live to us, you would have actually seen people burning rubber at this intersection.
The hell?
Crowd has changed.
Hold on, everybody.
Throughout the day. Earlier, there were lots of families here. There were people with children. We saw people also, elderly people with canes and so forth. And they've left, and the crowd is now much younger. And also, as I mentioned, doing things like burning rubber in the intersection. And the LAPD is now moving in to clear them. And we're going to get behind the skirmish line. They're moving in multiple directions here, trying to keep the crowds from joining together and forming one large group. I'm walking now. We're actually at Rizzo Street and Main, and the dispersal orders for this intersection as Arcadia and Spring and Arcadia and Main as well. And I'm seeing fireworks being thrown over here in the direction of the police. And I seem to have lost. Where's Frank? We're going to walk across the street. You can hear what they're saying to leave. As you can hear, they're telling people to leave the area. Police, most people seem to be complying and are moving. They've stopped traffic here as well. So we're going to walk across the street because that's where we're seeing items being thrown off.
Excuse me. So I want you to look at the title on this video. I'm going to go back in so I can see the date of this video. If you all don't mind, 1 second, please. I want to get the actual date so I can share it. Okay, this is 5 hours ago, Foxy. And so I've already got another one here on standby on my other device. I want to make sure I get this, the date. So this is just 5 hours ago, and as most of you know, I'm here on the East Coast, at the bottom of the East Coast. I'm on Eastern Standard Time, Knoxville, Tennessee time. So California's 3 hours behind me. The question is, LAPD declares protests as unlawful assembly. Why is it unlawful? Let me ask that question. Because if it's daytime, it's within the hours of a peaceful protest, which I think they cut it off at 8 p.m. So why are you saying it's unlawful if it's during the hours of protest times? I'm confused. Just asking. Lord have mercy. 2 hours and 17 minutes into this live stream. I'm not going to try to hold too long, but I just wanted to go ahead and play some of this content because I had it shared on my community page. Feel free to go to my community page to watch the videos at your discretion. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about this and get it over with. I had no plans of talking about anything pertaining to this new administration on my channel just because I don't like problems and I don't like arguing with people about shit that most of the shit don't make no sense, no way. And I don't see I just don't see an end in sight. That's just me. I'm a realist. I deal with real things. I don't deal on hypotheses and government conspiracies and all that type of Illuminati shit. I deal with what's real. You can pick up all these people that's immigrants. They can't give you an ID. Okay, you ship them off. God forbid you find a place to ship them off. You don't got the border secured. That's a problem. So for every person you pick up that's an immigrant that's not legal, you ship them off with their kids, whatever. The point is, what are you going to do about the damn wall? wall. Because for every person you picking up here, there, Pookieville, about the damn wall where the other people are coming in. It's defeating the purpose. That's my point. You're defeating the purpose of picking these people up, because then there's other people still sneaking through. So it's a double-edged sword. And obviously some bears in the big house ain't got that type of common sense to see, okay, I'm picking up all these people, but there's other people still sneaking in from other places, not just Mexico. These people are even coming from China. Please feel free to go to YouTube Q. They have a video to show you how to sneak into the United States. I've actually watched the video. I've shown it on this network. It is the most baffling BS I have ever seen in my 54 years of breathing. A fucking YouTube video to show you how to get here. So that's the point I'm making. It ain't just Hispanic people sneaking in. They're flying from other countries and they're taking guidebooks on how to fly into Mexico and then make their way to the southern borders. So that's why I'm trying to make people understand. You can bicker about this all day long. You have a border problem. Secure the border. That's what you need to do, is secure the damn border. Because you can go pick up all the people you want from here to New York. It ain't going to do no good when you still got thousands of people coming in to replace the people that you just put on a damn airplane. I'm just saying.
Obviously, we're having some technical challenges with Christy's mic. As she gets farther away from her photographer, hopefully the two of them can get a little closer together, and then we might resolve some of those mic issues.
Mentioned to you that we heard people burning rubber, and if we pan over there, you can see that Dodge Charger's doing that right now. You see some of the smoke that is left behind from those tires. Police.
I don't agree with all this extra stuff.
You probably hear that. Another item being thrown. That was a water bottle. So what they're doing here, as you can see, they deployed one flank here and another flank here, and they will often do this during protests when they want to disperse them. They try to keep the crowd away from each other, from forming one large crowd. So they're dividing them and forcing them in different directions.
Hey, they're outnumbered.
And that appears
the police
here right now.
They're outnumbered.
Christy,
that's what I keep trying to tell people.
Do we know of any arrests so far?
They are outnumbered.
Do we know of any arrests so far?
So far, we've not seen anyone being arrested. They just appear to be dispersing the crowd, but I've not gotten an update from the LAPD, so I cannot tell you that with any certainty. I personally, though, not witnessed any arrests.
And Christy, we saw over the weekend that they took over the freeways at some point. It
now,
seems
where
like
is she
there's
going?
A strong effort to keep people off the freeways tonight.
There definitely is. The LAPD was blocking the entrance to the 101 here at Aliso and Maine, and also we saw the CHP. In fact, if we pan down that way, you will not be able to make it out. But they have, the CHP has blocked some of the off-ramps from the 101 freeway here as well in an attempt to keep people from going onto the freeway. But I got to tell you, we've been here all day long, and as I said, the crowd was very different earlier. There's lots of families, and they didn't show any real interest, as far as I could tell, in taking the freeway. Right now, though, it's a much younger crowd. As we're hearing, you can probably hear it there in the distance, people being kind of rowdy with, again, burning rubber and so forth, and throwing items at the police as they're trying to.
So that's what I'm saying.
So we really saw a shift also in the energy here, and who was here.
So this is exactly what I'm saying, is that these police officers, even though they have an expansive police department, LA County, but you don't have enough people in authority to counter all these people. California is a very big state, and it neighbors other states such as Arizona, Nevada, so on and so forth, Oregon, Washington. Anybody can come on over and, protest, blah, blah, blah. They're now telling you have more young people out. So what usually comes with young people? Violence. So you're talking about people who are out there. They may have guns. They may have knives. They may have damn Uzis, any damn thing. God forbid somebody would decide they want to start shooting and, innocent people get hurt. Just even people who just peacefully trying to protest. You understand what I'm saying? As you heard the woman, the reporter saying, there are people who, just came to protest, but they're not trying to block the freeway or, get in the roads. They're not throwing things. But then you're going to have those who are going to be throwing things, trying to block the freeway. And as I said, with young people comes problems. And of course, you're going to have some old heads that are feisty and want to get crunk too. God forbid that there's some guys out there right now got some damn guns or sawed-off weapons in their backpack or something. They just start shooting in the crowd. So you have to use common sense. Things can get out of control very fast. Very fast. And I don't care what anybody say. They ain't going to have control of these folks. All it takes is them folks start pushing and shoving. It will be a madhouse. It would be a madhouse. It would be a madhouse. You'd have a lot of lives lost. Just a lot of lives lost. Because as I said, all it takes is for one person to get jiggy and start, doing some crazy stuff. Like they said, they're throwing water bottles, burning rubber, I guess, with their cars and stuff. I don't even know why these cars are even here. I guess I don't know if he's a part of this or what, this guy in his car. This is just crazy to me. And I'm thinking, hell, I wouldn't want to get my car torn up or vandalized, trying to make a point about, ICE or whatever. But as you know, many people, they don't use their heads when they're trying to protest and make a point. And that's usually how people get hurt. And somebody gets injured, law enforcement gets injured. Then you might get your law officer that might want to start getting jiggy. And he wants to start pushing and shoving. And then he pulls out the taser. And then it's on from there, God forbid. It's too many people. And everybody knows when you have too many people outside, anything can jump off. See, he's already got the baton out. And that's what I'm saying. All it takes is one cop to get jiggy. He decides he wants to start pushing and shoving with the baton. And the next thing you know, he's beating a woman or beating a man. You see? You see what I'm saying? See? They're starting to push him. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a hot butter mess. Hot butter mess. Say what, Doctor? They love their country so much, yet they left it. They left their country, Godric, because they don't have any rights in their country. They don't have any rights in Mexico. Written country, they don't have any rights. That's why they're leaving. That's why they've left. That's why other people are wanting to leave their country. They don't have a voice. They don't have a say. But the point is, you got to do it the right way. There are other people trying to come in America, and they're doing it the right way. They're putting their name in the lottery. I had neighbors who did it many years ago. They won the lottery to become American citizens, and that's how they became citizens. They waited. They waited their turn, and I get it. I don't wish anyone, to live in a place that's war-torn, and you can't speak for yourself. You can't live the way you want to live. But the sick part is, the flip side is, just invade somebody else's country because you're trying to run from your country, because we can't do it. I can't just go live in Canada. At some point, I'm going to have to work. I'm going to have to live. I'm going to have to be able to make a living. I'm going to have appropriate ID. And that's just the way it is. It don't matter where you're trying to go. You're going to have to sustain yourself somewhere. And that's the problem. As I've said, this situation here is never going to end until you secure the borders. That's just common sense. The borders should be secure. That's what they need to work on. This administration, work on securing the borders. You secure the borders, and then you can finish doing all your deportation that you feel like you need to do. But so long as you still letting people come in the country, picking these people up ain't gonna do no damn good. For every couple of 100 to 1,000 you ship out, you probably got 2-3 times that coming back in. You got to secure the borders. It's common sense. Well, ask Trump to secure the borders. You can talk about Trump all damn day. He didn't secure the borders when he was last in office. Yeah, I said that. So shipping these people off, what good is it going to do when there's people still coming in? That don't make any sense. Makes no sense at all. So it's almost really, it's counterproductive. It's counterproductive.
Which seems to be what's happening here right now. And we're seeing the after effects of that as well. As we know, this issue of immigration is something
they're not going to pay for
personal for so many people.
Why are they going to pay for a border? They're going to pay for a border.
Most Americans
they don't care.
do like the concept of borders based off of polling. But the topic of birthright citizenship, which is something that the Trump administration is trying to end, which has been guaranteed in the Constitution for generations, basically means if you are born here, even if your parents are undocumented, you are an American citizen. And so what we're seeing a lot of today, according to Christie's reporting, is kids who are American citizens, but their parents may not be. That is something the Trump administration is actively trying to stop. They have an executive order on that, which is being challenged, which could go to the United States Supreme Court. And that is one of the many things that people are fired up about as we look on the streets of downtown Los Angeles. And Christie, it seems like they're pushing everybody back. As we look at some of the reporters and photographers, I think, from the LA Times that are there, Christie may have just said hello to. Seems like they're moving people back. We need more room. Not sure if Christie can hear us.
You can hear the LAPD officer saying we need more room back up. And yes, they are pushing people away. And on social media, on X, LAPD Central Division put out a statement saying that the incident commander for the demonstration at Aliso Arcadia on Los Angeles Street has issued a dispersal order. Right there at that location, all those who remain may be subject to arrest. Route of travel is northbound to Los Angeles to Cesar Chavez. So it does look like they are making progress to push the crowd back as to where they will all disperse to. We'll see. But now, LAPD officers making a run for it somewhere else.
Some more LAPD resources, Alex and Marla, have just come in. They are pushing back the crowd. As I mentioned, they are pushing them in multiple directions, 4 different directions right now, trying to get them to leave the downtown LA area and also to prevent them from forming one larger group. You can see they have deployed those foam batons that are meant to hear them being fired right now as we speak. And also, we're still hearing cars burning rubber. And we're seeing the smoke from that, but at time to time, we're also seeing what appear to be maybe firecrackers or fireworks being thrown at police officers here, as well as oranges and water bottles, and also glass bottles as well. We're seeing the LAPD airship above us. You can see some people seem to be moving in the direction that the police are asking them to go to, but others are not. They're still staying here, as you can tell from all around us. So there are the skirmish line moving towards Placito Olvera, but now another one is forming, moving back towards Aliso and Maine. They did manage to break up this group into two groups. You can see people on the megaphone.
And there's a lot of symbolic value to where this is all happening. If you think about it, we've been on the move in downtown Los Angeles, not all that far from City Hall, not all that far from LAPD headquarters, as we now move towards Olvera Street, which is such an important part of the history of Los Angeles and really the center of where the city started, and also so much of the Latino heritage and immigrant heritage celebrated on Olvera Street every day. And then you think about times like Dia de los Muertos and other holidays that really Olvera Street has become a central gathering point for many people, especially of Mexican descent in Los Angeles. And so it is, go ahead.
Protests that we've covered, we're seeing people on bicycles, on foot, and also in cars, I should say. So that is an additional element that the police are dealing with that is not typical of every protest that we've covered. Just heard more fireworks going off. And I mentioned how they're splitting up the groups. You can see them pushing groups, one group of protesters in that direction, and then holding the
talking about the fact that the protesters, including cars, because oftentimes we'll see in some of these scenarios that the cars themselves get stuck, sort of innocent people who happen to be driving by. But what Christy's suggesting here is that some of the vehicles we're seeing in this are protesters themselves who are using their cars to have their say.
I don't know. Well, there was definitely the one that was doing basically burnouts, but others are just protesting in their cars. They've been doing that all day long, and many of them peacefully. They've been driving around flying their flags, but that's an additional element that at this hour, when they're trying to get people to go home and they're issuing a dispersal order, they're having violence as well.
And this group bringing in their instruments.
Yes. They're now playing music.
Yeah, all of this happening at a time where we have seen some of these ICE raids in major cities across the United States. We have not seen major raids in Los Angeles yet, but one has to assume that the second largest city in America is on the list of the Trump administration.
So will there be raids in LA?
Los Angeles is on the list.
Will there be ICE raids in LA?
Begin as early as this week. So if you think this protest is big now, that may exacerbate and make protests even bigger.
Well, they waltzed in here.
There are some people.
My thing is, America allowed it, so
that might depress.
It is what it is.
People scared to come out, but we see a lot of these folks who seem to be proud to be out to celebrate their Mexican heritage, to have their say in America, and to try to send a message when it comes to what's happening right now when it comes to immigration.
Christy, the police officers seem to be leaving those playing the music alone right now.
They do for the moment, and I have to say, I mean, for the most of the day, it has been very peaceful. People were just out here demonstrating, and even now there are a few that are engaging police, as we saw that they were throwing bottles and items, but there are others who weren't. Much of the group that we're seeing here was behind the police officers, and right now they're not engaging them. They're just playing music and dancing in the street.
Yeah, and so it seems like this protest has gotten a little less chaotic and a little more joyous in the last few minutes as the music comes out, and certainly seems to be less of a threat for the LAPD.
Well, the bottles that we were seeing being thrown were not coming from this group. They were coming from some that were pushed out. So they're now been separated. We can walk in that direction and see what's going on over there if you like. So we're passing. They're not letting us through.
And we know once the sun sets, which it has, and it's officially going to be dark very, very soon, things can also get a little bit more rowdy nighttime.
Yes, that is often the case. And like I said earlier today, there were lots of families here, with people here with children, and it was a very different energy. And also there were a lot of elderly people. Right now you can see who's here. It is much younger people in general. You hear them talking to the police now.
And Christy, I think it's important as we're looking at the LAPD officers' batons in hand to point out the crowd right now is a much younger crowd. And earlier you said it was more family oriented because you've been out there all day. And again, to reiterate, their message is to, noting that LA is a sanctuary city, their message is to the Trump administration.
I'm really sorry, Marla. I could not hear what you asked. Right now, there are some protesters that are asking police why they've issued a dispersal order. Some also blaming police for starting all of this, saying that they were demonstrating peacefully. And that certainly was true for some of the protesters here. Many of them were peaceful. But as we've seen, there have been some who have been throwing items and so forth. So different people came to this protest, and some of them did want to peacefully protest, and there were others who apparently, at least in the last half hour or so, have wanted to engage police. And they're still playing music.
And now as we hit nighttime, you see that LAPD helicopter overhead shining its light on this, keeping a track of it from the air, and the officers standing by on the ground.
And it seems like, well, not seems like it, they have split up in two. So now we have the skirmish line here. This is where those ultimately playing music and being more jovial have gathered up ahead. It was the more rowdy protesters, if you will, and those folks have been pushed back by LAPD. This is heading northbound on Los Angeles Street. This unlawful assembly declared officially about 45 minutes ago. This means anyone who does not disperse is subject to arrest. No word on any arrests as of yet.
Let me stop right there. I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden it became unlawful. Is it because some of the people started throwing items? I don't really know. But what I'm curious, people that are standing out there at this time, how many are actually legal citizens or born to parents who are not legal citizens? I'm quite curious, because this is what's interesting. This is, hours ago in LA. Just imagine you're out here protesting, and then you get your ass arrested, and your ass ain't legal. Stay woke, everybody. So if you're not legal, you understand what I'm saying? You're not legal. I don't think this is a place that you will want to be, period. Whether you're peacefully protesting or not. If you know that you have no legal status, you have to be an utter fool to be standing out here. Okay? I don't care if you're just standing. I just wouldn't recommend it. And I won't doubt there's probably somebody in the crowd that is not a legal citizen. And anybody with sense would know you don't put your foot in a trap. Okay? But you have people who are bold and they're brazen, and they would be foolish enough to go peacefully protest, whichsoever, and not even be a legal citizen. So I wouldn't recommend going. Watch it from your TV set or your cell phone. I wouldn't even want to even just stand on the sidewalk just as a spectator. Just because if I know I'm not legal, I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't even risk it. But that's the question I'm posing to everyone. I'll put a poll up on my community page. Will LA be a city that will have the ICE raids, since it is a sanctuary city? But since we have this new executive order from number 47, I don't know if that's going to stand. LA being a sanctuary city. As you know, Los Angeles, LA County, and the state itself has a very high population of immigrants, migrants in general. Many people come from all over the world and migrate to the state of California. And it's not just Mexico. There are other countries that the people come from, such as Haiti, Honduras, UK, wherever, Europe, people just come there from all over. Asia, a lot of people migrate to the state of California just like they do New York. But as you see, New York just said, we can't do it. We can't house any migrants. We don't have the room. And even when all that shit went on a year or so ago with the migrants in New York, I said to myself, it's really a slap in the face to the homeless people of New York, because how do you look busing people in from Colorado and different places, and then you got homeless people sleeping on the damn streets of New York, but you're putting migrants into nice hotels? I thought that was quite disrespectful. Now, I get it. Everybody's homeless for different reasons. I know here in this city I live in is more of a transient city. You'll see homeless people everywhere. It's bad here in Knoxville. It's horrible. But the point is, I do know a lot of those people want to be homeless. I've met a lot of homeless people. I've listened to their conversations. They don't want a place to live, and that's their choice, okay? You want to be on the street, that's your choice. But there are some people who are homeless and they don't want to be homeless. Maybe they were displaced because of a job or they couldn't afford their rent, whatever the situation is. But I don't know where this is going to go. All this, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to end up. But my point is, if you don't secure the borders, it defeats the purpose of ICE picking up anyone. And that's just common sense, okay? It's just like having a bug problem, okay? You can't call the exterminator to your house to spray for bugs, vermin, but you're not willing to seal up the cracks, the doorways, the holes in your house. That's common sense. So you're going to spend all this money for somebody to come spray your house, spray outside your house, spray inside of your house. And then yet you call the exterminator back and say, hey, I just found a dead rat. I just found a mouse. Oh, I found 2. I found 3. What's the problem? You know what the problem is. You got to seal up the cracks. So that's the problem America has. It needs border control. It needs all points secured. And when I mean secure, I mean no wrought iron fences, no chain link fences. You need a wall so high you can't even throw a soda pop bottle over it. That's going to be your only solution.
And this is, to keep in mind, this is just one area that we're showing.
Right.
I mean, earlier, the 101 was basically, there was a square of protesters around it. They could not get onto 101 because LAPD blocked off the on-ramps to 101 to prevent protesters from taking over the 101 as they did yesterday, Sunday afternoon, for some time. And that took it was an all-day affair to get that protest, anti-ICE protest, wrapped up on Sunday.
I cannot guarantee you will not have expletives. You're taking a risk.
Okay. Christy, maybe communicate.
So the LAPD.
I censor what I want. I'm not going to let people troll my chat. This is my channel.
Okay, so it appears now that the LAPD is allowing this group to continue to play their music. As you mentioned, they have separated. They've broken up basically the protests into several smaller groups.
And since you think I censor the channel, I will remove your damn comment. How about that?
There are other groups. So
I'm the one that's the orchestrator.
They will do that, and they will.
Let me make this clear. The past couple of videos, I have to censor the comments because when you come in and troll and you put stupid stuff in the chat that nobody understands what the hell you're saying, I'm responsible for that. You put a lot of curse words in here, I'm responsible for that, okay? This is in my name. It's not in your name. I'm the orchestrator here. Many people just get up all times a day and troll the chat saying stuff that don't even make sense, don't have anything to do with what we're talking about. That takes away the continuity of the stream because there are people who actually want to come in and try to have a civilized conversation, okay? But when you're putting all type of 50,000 different letters and numbers and stuff, it's disruptive. It's disruptive. You coming in, you're cursing and hollering and screaming and shit, it's disruptive. There have been many comments in the chat I don't agree with, and they have sat in the chat. And I also have an automatic mod, which is YouTube, and they delete certain content on its own. I don't even have to press the button to delete the content. I have that in the features of my settings. So you want to go curse somewhere, go to somebody else's chat and do it. I'm not stopping you. But I'm responsible for this channel, not you. I get a strike, that's on me. So I'm not going to let you come in here and just troll the chat because you think it's something you should be able to do. No, you're not going to do it. Affiliations and how I feel. So I've let a lot of you come in and talk about Trump until you're blue in the damn face. and your comments are still stayed in the chat. But you're not going to come in and just take over the channel because you think it's okay for you to do so. No, you're not going to do it here.
Break up the protests and then gradually push them in different directions and until they get tired and go home. So that might be the strategy that they're employing now. Right now, we're hearing them chanting and we're playing music. They've now stopped. They're chanting Mexico, Mexico.
Christine, depending on your, can you hear me? Depending on any of these folks to hear their personal message?
Sure, we can ask. Hi, whichever mother. I just wondering if you would tell us but we can keep trying.
Yeah, that often happens. Protesters are out there to voice their concern, their opinion, their stance, and then they don't want to do so on camera.
To support. Do you know anyone who's affected by this? I'm sorry? Do you know anyone who is personally affected by ice raids? My family. Who in your family, if you don't mind asking? My grandma, but she got her citizenship. So this is something you live. And you know, the police have given the dispersal order. Are you planning on leaving? No. How long will you stay? I'm not sure. All right, well, thank you so much.
So see, this goes to what I was just saying. If you know you're not legal, why even be here? Just because you think, okay, well, the LA is a sanctuary city, I still think I would feel nervous about being out there protesting just in case ICE decide they showed up and wanted to start scooping the people up. But it just goes to show you when people feel that they're self-entitled. Well, okay, it don't matter. I'm here. This city is a sanctuary city. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be out here. I'm going to protest peacefully or non-peacefully. I still wouldn't do it. If I knew that I was not a legal citizen, I would not be standing out there. I would just be watching from my TV set. And I also be praying that nobody comes by my house and kick my damn door in and pick me up. So she's a young lady. I don't know how old she is. I wish the reporter would have asked her how old she is, because if she's not a legal citizen, she's young. She's young. She doesn't look older at all. I mean, I don't know if she's 20, if she's under 20, but she looks like a young lady. So I'm curious to how old she is. But this is when you know people have gotten comfortable and they feel like, well, I'll do what I want, say what I want. Some of you are complaining in the chat about the flags. Well, they're showing the flags from the countries that they come from, but that's the whole point. They may be proud of their heritage, but they don't want to go back. That's why they're here. They don't want to go back. Of course they don't want to go back. Who wants to go back to a place where you don't have any rights? I get it. But the point is, we need people to be legal for the obvious reasons, because as I said, we can't go to other places and just go run into these people countries and just live and not have legal citizenship, legal ID, a visa. We've heard of people doing it now. We've heard of many Americans doing it, especially when they go on a run. They'll go to these South American countries and hide out or set up a new life. Well, hell, they might go to the UK or Europe, but I don't recommend it, because common sense will tell you a lot of those countries, they might send you back to America, depending on if you want it for a crime or they don't want you there. But then the flip side is a lot of those countries won't send you back. And that's why a lot of people, when they commit crimes in America, they pick a country where they know they can't be extradited. But anyway, I personally wouldn't be out here knowing I'm not legal. That to me is dumb. But hey, what they say, when in Rome.
And the other issue we're having when we do talk to people, it's not clear that they can hear us. It's very loud out here.
Christy's doing a great job and even being able to hear us, which is not easy with all between the helicopters and the music and the people screaming and the cars and the LAPD talking. There's a lot going on out there right now, and we see, this combination of several flags being on display there, and highlighting the Mexican flag.
Yeah, so we have someone else so why did you want to be here today?
For the raza, for the race. And people been working hard. They've been doing their thing out here in this country, LA specifically. And just to get thrown out, come on, man. Like you just, it's like going back to Auschwitz. Come on. You separating people from the kids, from the family. No warning shots. Just take them away.
How long have you been here?
My whole life.
No, I meant at the protest.
I'm sorry?
At the protest, have you been here all day?
All day.
How long will you stay?
I don't know. Like I said.
You heard police have given the dispersal order. Did you hear them?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they did it over the helicopter.
Scuba now.
People to clear out. Will you clear out now or plenty to stay?
When it's time to clear out, we'll clear out. We're just here to give a message, send a message.
I think you're talking to us.
Yeah, of course, he compares this to Auschwitz. Auschwitz was a situation with German citizens who were taken to death camps where they were exterminated in the term of 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust. This is a situation of potentially enforcing United States immigration law. Nobody is being taken to a death camp. There may be a disagreement over what's happening here, but that comparison does not have anything to do with actual history of what happened in World War II. But we understand people are emotional at this point, and they continue to wave their flags. It's an interesting choice. I've spoken to a lot of strategists over the years, Marla, who have talked about the fact that especially Latino strategists who have said that it may be more effective for people to wave American flags in this situation to prove that they want to be a part of this country instead of flags from other countries. But obviously there's a lot of pride for people's Mexican heritage. Christy, I don't know.
First, you got to get him out of government. There's another one here quoting Rage Against the Machine. Some of those that hold office have said that we're in process.
Godric, you all be nice now.
Not immigrants, abolish ICE. Seeking safety is not a crime.
No need in calling people names. It's not necessary. Come on now. You don't have to agree. You don't have to call people names.
Immigrants keep America running.
Now, see, that's something nobody's thinking about. As I said, many people, yes, both sides of the coins don't want people living here that are not, documented. But let's be truthful. As I keep telling everybody, this is a double-edged sword. Really, it's a triple sword. Quite frankly, it's growing tentacles at this point. A lot of the people who live in the country who are documented and undocumented, they do work that most of you all are not going to do, and that's including myself. None of you are getting ready to go out here and pick apples and oranges. You're not getting ready to go work out in the fields and till the land. You know this. So that's why you had the one guy making a commentary earlier about the one town that's going to suffer. It's going to need some type of government aid because obviously the town, it's a small town and it's going to suffer. It's going to suffer. And I'm sure that's going to happen with a lot of places. Okay. There's one agency here in Knoxville. They're asking for donations because they aid Hispanic people here. They're worrying about the freeze from the government. So they probably, may not be in the running to get any type of loan or grants from the federal government. And as I said, a lot of Hispanic people do work that a lot of people just aren't going to do. And that's going to be a problem for a lot of businesses. But then the flip side of that is people say, well, they're not legal anyway. Why do you have them working for you? So that's why I said it's a triple-edged sword. It can just go on and on and on. But I'm just throwing that out there, that a lot of the work that's done here in America by migrants, you all aren't going to do it. And I know I ain't getting ready to do it. I'm not telling nothing. I don't have to. But I'm just saying there are people who are willing to do the work. So when you start talking about your fruits, your vegetables, somebody has to do the job. So that's why I said it's easy to say, well, I don't want them here. So are you going to go out there and do that kind of work? No, you're not. Most people are not going to do that. So now what happens to the farmers? See, it goes, that's why I said it's deeper than just saying put the people out. Because as you have no borders. So no matter who you pick up, ship out, jump them on an island, whatever, you still have a problem with migrants coming back in the country. So until you secure the borders, you're just wasting airspace and running around dumping people off of airplanes. I mean, you got to use logic. As I just said, you have a bug problem, but you're not willing to seal the cracks. So you're just paying the exterminator to keep coming over. When are you going to seal the cracks? Once again, now, economy, as far as the work, the type of work these people do, who choose to do this type of work, what's going to happen when nobody says, well, I don't want to do that kind of work. I don't want to work at the restaurant. I don't want to be a bus boy, bus girl. I don't want to be working on the farm. I don't want to, pick the greens and the lettuce, tomatoes. I don't want to do that. Well, who's going to do it? Just saying. So that's why I said it's a double-edged sword. It's as I said, it's an opposite at this point.
So lots of different messages here. That one says abolish ICE.
Christy, will you confirm, are you on?
It's because my mom works harder than the president.
Christy, can you just reconfirm your location?
For my future, now I will fight for theirs. So for many people here, it's deeply personal.
Christy, can you hear me? Can you just reconfirm your location?
I'm not sure if Christy can hear us right now. But
well, a lot of Hispanic people do work, doctor. You know that.
Screen. We are in downtown Los Angeles, a few blocks away from City Hall, which we see behind Christy. She's also near, it's at Placita Olvera, which is Olvera Street. Some of the
I ain't trusting the government, not right now. I'm not.
Los Angeles. There as
JQ,
well.
This is a protest in California.
Freeway, they've been moved through the day. As we approach the top.
For the person in the chat asking, this is a protest in LA. They're protesting the ICE raids that have been transpiring in America since number 7 took office. So that's what you're watching. This is took weekend in LA, and I believe this content is from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. They are having a protest near the freeway, 101 freeway. They were trying to make way onto the freeway, but the law enforcement stopped them. And yes, I don't want anybody getting on the freeway. That's dangerous. You don't have no business getting on the damn freeway. People have to be able to drive their damn car to and fro, just like in the street. Same thing. Nobody has any right to be blocking off streets. People do have to be able to drive and go places. So this is where it's a problem. I don't care what you're protesting. The point is you don't want to obstruct people being able to drive to and fro. That's just wrong. And we don't need you throwing things at the police officers, because it's all we need is one cop to get jiggy. Next thing you know, he's beating your ass with a baton. Now here we go. We got a dead person. So my thing is, don't exacerbate a situation. Just don't make a situation worse than it already is. And we just have people like that. They get heated, they get upset, they get, passionate about what they believe in. And then that's when they decide to start acting out and breaking the law. And that's a problem. And this is what happens when it comes to protesting. It doesn't matter what the protest is about. There's always going to be somebody that's going to act out. They're going to start doing stupid stuff. And then all it takes is for the cop to react, or the cop decides he's going to start punching somebody with a baton. It's always used a recipe for disaster, sad to say, but it is your civil right. But then somebody's going to come in and say, as I just said, well, how many people in there, how many people are out there that aren't legal? As I said, if you were out there and you weren't legal, you were a fool. I wouldn't be out there. I'd just be looking from the TV. But I think they feel comfortable in LA because LA is allegedly a sanctuary city. So the people felt free, comfortable to come out and protest.
top of the hour, we are being simulcast right now on Channel 11 and Channel 13. At the top of the hour, we lose the simulcast on Channel 13. So if you are interested in continuing coverage of this and the other day's news, we encourage you to switch over from Channel 13 to Channel 11, where our live coverage of all of this is going to continue when we officially begin the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock right now.
Can we put the camera down?
And we begin here on the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock with breaking news. We are looking at in downtown Los Angeles, where anti-ICE protesters are now marching in the streets of downtown Los Angeles. The LAPD has declared this an unlawful assembly. I'm Alex Michaels.
And I'm Marla Tejas. This is a live picture from our crew on the ground. Christy Fajardo, the reporter there, along with Frank Aguilera, the videographer, bringing you these live pictures. That unlawful assembly declared about 45 minutes ago. And what does that mean for all who are in downtown Los Angeles protesting, taking over streets outside city? The 101, it means that they are subject to arrest if they do not heed that unlawful assembly and the word to disperse. So far, we don't know of any arrests. That could very well not be the case, though. We haven't heard officially from LAPD. This is just one slice of the crowd downtown. This particular group, though, has become more jovial, playing music. They have instruments on hand, so it's a more jovial crowd. Earlier, we saw LAPD skirmish lines, and with their batons, they were throwing foam batons at protesters who were refusing to back up. It's quite the scene out there, and I believe we have global security expert and former retired Marine Intelligence Officer, Hal Kempfert, on the line with us. Hal, what do you make of the scene in downtown Los Angeles?
Well, Marla, this is obviously it's an unlawful protest. It's not like they went out there and filed for everything to be out there. But LAPD is they've learned a lot. There was a lot of lessons learned in the George Floyd riots and other riots. And of course, I could go back to the early 90s when we had massive riots in LA. But they have learned a lot over time. You see, controlling the crowd. They're trying not to escalate the situation. They're being very careful to contain the crowd. They want to avoid property damage. They also want to avoid, obviously, those who are not actively involved, for example, passersby or people in the area who could possibly get caught up in this. And of course, the fear would be they get hurt, somehow harmed. But they're basically controlling it. Now, a couple of things to note. If you look into the crowd, that is not what I would call a crowd of young men and women of fighting age. All right, let me just put it that way. It's not a crowd that I would expect to immediately go into some sort of violent thing. It looks like a lot of people just from the community of all ages. Some of them a little bit older. They're out there, expressing themselves, protesting federal policy. So with that, that's part of the assessment. That's what LAPD has to look at: is do they pose an imminent threat? Do we have to use greater use of force in order to control this crowd?
So I don't know how, if you can see the picture right now. We've now got Skyfox up above, and we see a car which looks like it has a Mexican flag on the hood doing donuts in the middle of downtown Los Angeles, which potentially could be dangerous for people nearby.
It's almost resembling the street takeover,
right,
with one vehicle.
Yeah, and so that's now happening.
That actually escalates the situation. Now LAPD may feel compelled to step in because now you're seeing a threat to the public. And so you may actually see some action here by LAPD because they're watching the same thing you are. I can tell you that certainly I know some places.
Yeah, I don't recommend this. You shouldn't be doing this. This is crazy. Too easy for somebody to get hurt, slam into somebody by accident.
Yeah, definitely watching this at LAPD.
Burning rubber,
where they have live
good tires for nothing.
Up, watching
just
the
silliness
broadcast at the same time, and so they see it. The question is, how do you respond to this? And you wonder how, just from a political strategy perspective, how is this effective at making your point, at winning over average American citizen voters? If you're trying to make a point about immigration, doing something like donuts in the middle of the street or waving flags of another country, I'm not sure how effective that is in terms of making an argument to the middle of the country that you want to vote in a different way.
It certainly does seem a bit counterproductive. When you see something like that,
see the cars turning.
Associate that with peaceful
They're like,
protests.
I got to turn my car.
I'm not entirely sure
I got
what
somewhere
the
to
Trump
go.
is doing here. On the one hand, it looks like they're rallying around that car. On the other hand, it might be that they were trying to actually stop the car from doing what it was doing because it's very dangerous. So I don't rule out that there were elements of the crowd that may have said, hey, okay, everybody get around because we want to stop this car from doing what it's doing. At some point here, LAPD will have to move in. They will have to disperse the crowd. They're just trying to do so in such a way that they can try and not, inevitably it will escalate the situation to some degree, but they. And if you look at some of the things that LAPD was doing during the college protests that we saw, the pro-Palestinian protests that were happening, with the Gaza war, they showed great restraint in many cases. In some cases, they did not, and they learned from that. But they showed relatively strong restraint from going in there and dispersing a crowd, when they didn't have to, and if they can control.
Now, what I don't agree with, naturally, the spinning of the cars, burning the rubbers, all unnecessary, because that's how people get hurt. You spin the car around, next thing you know, you slam into somebody, and now you've knocked somebody down. And then the trash, as you see, there's trash. Well, now somebody's got to pick that up. The city sweeper has to now come in and pick up the trash. Somebody has to now go on foot and bend down and scoop up all this damn trash off the sidewalk. So see, this is where I don't care for, protesting certain things. If the people are not going to protest peacefully and or litter and lauder, there's nothing wrong. You want to protest something, fine. But the trash and stuff, see, somebody has to pick all that shit up. Somebody's got to pick that up. And people that work for the city, they do enough hard work as it is. The garbage man, I appreciate everybody who has any type of title. I don't care if you're the garbage man, you work in the sewer. Well, somebody has to do that job. And that's the point. It's a job that most people don't damn want. So picking up the trash on the street, same damn thing. Don't throw the paper, the bottles, water bottles, soda pop bottles, all of this nonsense. I don't know what's going to happen with LA. I'm going to, keep a close eye just to see if there'll be any raids, ICE raids in Los Angeles, because I told myself, I really want to see how this is going to turn out as far as ICE going into the state of California and doing any raids. I don't think it's going to fare very well. I think it's going to be a hot butter damn mess because, it's a big state, just like Texas. Texas has a lot of Hispanic people. So I see it being a hot damn mess. Florida, Texas, California, 3 big states in the United States that have a lot of foreign people, period. It's going to be a hot butter mess. But like I said earlier during this live, the people have to have somewhere to go. So you can board them up, throw them on a plane, but where are they going? Because you can't make a country take the people, as I said. So I'm going to keep preaching this. It goes back to the damn borders. You need to secure the borders, because for every person you deport, it's not productive. It's not conducive to solving the problem, because you're going to still have more people coming in the country. Now, will some people fear coming in the country at this point? They might. That's something I thought about. I'm going to put that as a poll on my community page. Do you think that foreigners will now say to himself or herself, I'm not going to try to go to America because they're deporting migrants. So I'm not going to risk trying to make it to the border, squeeze in to only be deported. Okay? Because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are probably hiding out right now that are Hispanic, especially those who have criminal records, felonies, repeat offenders. There are probably a lot of those people hiding out. I saw that last week on the news where they said one part of the city was quiet movement when the ICE raid started. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who are probably hiding out. They're probably trying to travel to different locations to stay with other family members and friends. So all I can say to anybody that's legal, you don't want your door getting kicked in because, you know, people talk, neighbors, they see too many people running in and out your door. They might start saying, where are all these people coming from? I see all these people coming in and out. And the first thing they're going to think of, oh, ICE raids. I bet they've got people coming in from out of town, staying with them. You know how neighbors are. You know, we got some nosy neighbors. So all I can say is it's worth getting your door kicked in. That's all I'm going to say. Because as I said, people watch, people talk. But let me know what you think pertaining to the protests here in LA. Do you think LA will get ICE raids? And as I said before, what's going to be the end result? Because if the wall is never built, picking up these people, it's just not counterproductive.
Control the crowd if they can get the kind of disperse itself without actually having to physically come in contact with them. That's a much more preferable situation.
And that's sort of what we were seeing earlier with the crowd that they were successfully pushing back. There were some fireworks being thrown, some bottles, but that was really the extent of it. And then this crowd where Christie was, people were playing instruments. It was more of a party atmosphere. And it was just as we saw what you were talking, Hal, as we're looking at our Skyfox camera over Cesar Chavez in North Alameda, where that one vehicle was doing donuts. It looks like that has since stopped. We saw a whole line of LAPD officers seemingly running toward that location to put a stop to it because, as you said, now the public is a threat.
Mm-hmm. It's a threat to public safety, and that's really what they're doing. And I mean, if you look at how they're arrayed around them, they've set up a cantonment area. And now they're doing something, you see how they're basically well, I'm not saying they're forcing them down the street, but they've got
Canada's not the problem.
That's one of the techniques.
Canada hasn't done anything to us.
Direction. It can also dissipate the crowd energy in doing that. And, you know, I don't get into all the details, but these are things that we used. If you remember back in the Democratic National Convention in Los Angeles, I worked that extensively. We used a lot of crowd control techniques that would dissipate the energy of these protesters by doing stuff like that. In fact, one case we dissipated them by basically the crowd could march up a hill, and they were marching up a hill in the summer under the heat, and it was amazing how much energy that crowd lost as they had to do something like that.
So we're not far from Union Station in downtown Los Angeles, if you're familiar with the area, and as we know, that's a
they'll need the military for people
the home of
protesting.
Trains and subways and buses. You know, and so if, you know, protesters were able to disrupt things there, that potentially could impact all of that. We don't know if that's what's going to happen, but we're just a few blocks away from there, and that could be a potential destination for what we're looking at.
You know, it could be. One thing I would point out, though, is this is a different type of crowd. This is not Antifa, for example, you know, the anti-fascist, more of a left-wing crowd. They would look at critical infrastructure and disrupting things. I think this crowd, and I think a couple of the people in the crowd just said, hey, we're here to make a statement. And that's, I think, the assessment that LAPD has, is they're primarily there to make assessment. To say there aren't a few in the crowd, they'll try and exploit it for some other reason or to do things like that. One individual or multiple individuals did, you know, spitting brodies in in the middle of the street. But for the most part, as long as the crowd doesn't really pose a threat per se, and it's not doing something like that, they're just going to try and contain them. Yeah. And eventually the crowd, the energy will dissipate as it gets later. I would also point out it's going to get colder, and some of those people may not have shown up with what they really need to protest throughout the evening. So sometimes these things, just basic physiology kind of takes care of itself in terms of the crowd deciding that it's time to kind of call it an evening.
Yeah, LAPD Central Division, just a quick update here. They have issued a dispersal order for Cesar Chavez in Alameda. That's right where that chopper is hovering above. That is the location where we saw that vehicle doing the donuts. So again, a dispersal order has been issued there. Also, and a dispersal order has been issued for those who remain where Christie's camera is at Arcadia, Main, Spring, and Los Angeles. Everyone there is subject to arrest. So bottom line is the greater downtown Los Angeles area is now under that unlawful assembly. LAPD just putting this out just a few minutes ago.
Fox 11's Gina Silva has just arrived there on the scene. Gina, what's it look like from your perspective?
Yes, we are located on Main Street and Aliso, and you can see here the LAPD line. These are the officers who are holding the line. As we've been reporting, it has been declared an unlawful assembly. This has been a demonstration that's been taking place all day long. Just spoke with some folks who got here around 7 in the morning. For the most part, it has been peaceful. We have noticed on our way here, some parts of City Hall and some bus stops, they had some vandalism, F, Trump, different things like that. Also, ICE, many things against ICE. Other than the vandalism, there have been no arrests. There have been no has been overall relatively peaceful. But again, they are trying to prevent what happened yesterday, which was the takeover of the 101 freeway. And that is why the LAPD is taking no chances tonight, and they're making sure that everybody knows it is time to go home. Now, we've got a couple of folks here. Thank you so much for speaking with us. What's your name?
My name is Daniela.
Daniela, why is it important for you to be here tonight?
Well, I've just come here to support my people. You know, I'm very grateful that our parents and grandparents, the sacrifice that they had to go through for us to have a better life. And, you know, just don't bite the hands that feed you, you know, just, it's not okay the way they're doing it. And it was never just about deporting the criminals. They're going after everyone, and that's not okay. So I think that we should stand up for our people and always be proudful and pride about our people and never forget about them.
Absolutely. And what about you, sir? How do you feel about all this?
I mean, I'm just here ready to support, show support. You gotta remember where you come from. Like she said, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out here. We all come from struggle, you know. Everybody got their way to showing their support.
And right over here, Joab, if you can see this adorable little girl, she's with her mom, and she does have the Mexican flag. She's been flying it over the 101 freeway. I heard both of you talk about why people fly the Mexican flag. And what I can tell you from what I've been told from many of the folks who have been demonstrating, it has to do partially with the fact that they are very proud of where they come from. And even if the president is calling a certain segment of the population rapists and criminals, they're not going to shrivel down and say, oh no, you know, we don't want anything to do with Mexico. We are proud of our Mexican flag, and that's why we are flying it. It doesn't mean that they want to go back to Mexico to live there. That is not what they have experienced. So I hope that answers some of the questions that you had while you were discussing that issue. But again, this is, you know, that has been declared an unlawful assembly, and LAPD wants everybody to disperse and go home. It has been a demonstration that has taken place all day long. And at this point, you know, at night, some of the troublemakers come out. I didn't see the vehicles that were doing donuts earlier.
Yes, Sam,
that you were describing. I haven't seen it at least in this particular area, and we are at Aliso and Main. But obviously that's going on in other parts. And when that takes over,
see, he's
you know,
being
it's
messy.
just impossible to control.
See, that's messy
and that
right
is what
there.
The LAPD
Just
wants
walk
to make sure
on
everyone stays
by.
safe. There were no
Why is
problems
that
earlier in
such
the
a
day.
situation?
They were not telling anybody to disperse. They let everybody express their views, and that's just the way it's been. So at this point, you can see all of the
So I agree. Okay, everyone is entitled to have pride about where they came from. Naturally, they don't want to be in Mexico because they don't have any rights there. But the point still remains, everyone here stateside needs to be legal. That's just my opinion. But as I said before, there needs to be secure borders, and so we don't have to keep going over and over the same subject matter for year. Then you're going into decades. Now, as for this little messy Marvin here, see, this is somebody that's a problem. So far, you've heard they haven't had any arrests, any fights, but this right here is ignorant. You see, most of the people have dispersed, they're gone, they're walked off. You're the only one standing there in front of them, and you'd be the first one to get beat the hell down when you could just walk on with the rest of the people and make your way away from the street. It's dark 30. It's time to go home, okay? They've let you hang out all day protesting. It's dark 30. It's, if it's a city ordinance that says 8:30, then you need to abide by the rule. Get your ass on somewhere. Standing there trying to poke birdies and all that, what's the point? It's just stupid. All these people gathering, go in the direction where they're going. Why are you still standing there by the cops? Because you want them to hit you, you want them to tase you, beat you with a baton. God forbid, hey, you have a little bit of breath in you, now you're going to try to find your lawyer to sue when you could just go on. See, that's people like that I have a problem with. You should just get on somewhere. You don't ever exacerbate a situation. And that's just common sense. So see, he needs to get the hell on. And that's what they should tell him, sir, you need to move on. We have a curfew. It's time for you to get on your merry way. And that's just the bottom line. If the city says they want you dispersed at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, then you need to obey the rules, because if they've let you stand out there for 10, 12 damn hours. Okay, you've made your point. It's time to go. It's time to go. Go in. It's dark 30. And then see, you have people driving their cars. I'm assuming they're trying to get to where they're trying to go. These people in their vehicles, they do have a right to, feel safe driving. They don't know if somebody might try to exact something and, throw something at their car. Because a lot of people are very leery when they see a crowd of people, especially when they see a crowd of, a certain race of people. They might feel intimidated. So this is why everybody needs to get on into their homes to get safely home and just let what's going to be. But you always got those that want to, make a situation worse. As you saw that guy, standing there in front of the police, cursing and throwing birds and stuff. Now, he'd be mad if one of them reached out and beat him with that damn baton. Hit him with the baton, then he'd say, oh, they're violating my rights, which it would be wrong. But my thing is, seek and ye shall find. You go seek trouble, and that's exactly what you're going to go get. You're going to find trouble. It's common sense. What is going to happen with these ICE raids, everybody? I'll try to put up some questions on my community page pertaining to these ICE raids. Will there be raids in California? What's going to happen? Right now, number 47 has put a halt on the Mexico tariffs. He's got it halted at 1 month. Okay? 1 month. And China, they've exacted some type of revenge about the oil and gas or something, I read. Let me pull it up right quick before I check out of here. Because China says they decided to, they want to retaliate. So let me pull it up because I don't want to quote something that's not accurate. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Let's see what they got. Okay, here it is. The information. One second. It says China hits back with targeted tariffs after Trump imposes new levies. Reuters is the source of this information. China on Tuesday imposed tariffs on some U.S. imports in a swift response to U.S. duties on Chinese goods, raising the stakes in a showdown between the world's top two economies, even as President Donald Trump offered reprieves to Mexico and Canada. Additional 10% tariff across all Chinese imports into U.S. came in effect at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday after Trump repeatedly warned Beijing it was not doing enough to halt the flow of illicit drugs into the United States. Within minutes, China's finance ministry said it would impose levies of 15% for U.S. coal, and LNG, and 10% for crude oil, farm equipment, and the small number of trucks, as well as big engine sedans shipped to China from the United States. China also said it was starting an anti-monopoly investigation into Alphabet Inc.'s Google, while including both PVH Corp., the holding company for brands, including Calvin Klein, and U.S. biotechnology company Illumina on a list for potential sanctions in China. Separately, China's Commerce Ministry and its Customs Administration said it is imposing export controls on some metals that are critical for electronics, military equipment, and solar panels. A 10% duty China announced on electric trucks imported from the United States could apply to future sales of Elon Musk's Cybertruck, a niche offering Tesla has been promoting in China. Tesla had no immediate comment. China's new tariffs on the targeted U.S. exports will start February 10th, giving Washington and Beijing some time to try and reach a deal that Chinese policymakers have indicated they hope to strike with Trump. China's countermeasures were limited in scope compared to the Trump administration's across-the-board tax on imports, a continuation of Beijing's more measured response to this round of trade tensions with the United States. Trump plans to speak to Chinese President Xi Jinping later in the week, a White House spokesperson said. Trump on Monday suspended his threat of 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada at the last minute. Okay, so it's China and Canada. Make sure I put that in here before I check out of here. It's both Mexico and Canada. Mr. Trump has suspended his threat of the 25% tariffs, agreeing to a 30-day pause in return for concessions on border and crime enforcement with the two neighboring countries. During his first term in 2018, Trump initiated a brutal two-year trade war with China over its massive U.S. trade surplus, with its tit-for-tat tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods upending global supply chains and damaging the world economy. The trade war is in its early stages, so the likelihood of further tariffs is high, Oxford Economics said in a note as it downgraded its China economic growth forecast. Trump warned he might increase tariffs on China further unless Beijing stemmed the flow of fentanyl, a deadly opiate, into the United States. China hopefully is going to stop sending us fentanyl, and if they're not, the tariffs are going to go substantially higher, he said on Monday. China has called fentanyl America's problem and said it would challenge the tariffs at the World Trade Organization and take over countermeasures, but also left the door open for talks. The U.S. is a relatively small source of crude oil for China, accounting for 1.7% of its imports last year, worth about $6 billion. Just over 5% of China's LNG imports come from the U.S. Crude prices extended losses to tumble 2% after China's retaliation, and stocks in Hong Kong paired gains. The dollar strengthened while the Chinese yuan, the euro, Australian and Canadian dollars, as well as the Mexican peso, all fell, reflecting growing market concerns about the risk of a protracted global trade war. And as I read yesterday, yes, some things on the stock market have fallen since Trump has exacted these alleged tariffs. Unlike Canada and Mexico, it is clearly harder for the U.S. and China to agree on what Trump demands economically and politically. The previous market optimism on a quick deal still looks uncertain, says Gary Ng, senior economist of Nactus in Hong Kong. Even if the two countries can agree on some issues, it is possible to see tariffs being used as a recurrent tool, which can be a key source of market volatility this year. There was relief in Ottawa and Mexico City after both Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said they had agreed to bolster border enforcement efforts in response to Trump's demand to crack down on immigration and drug smuggling. Now, I'm kind of stunned that this Mexican president
Her name is Claudia Sheinbaum. Is she Jewish? Don't tell me they have a Jewish president. I'm not trying to be funny, but that just sounds strange to me. That they don't have a Hispanic president? Okay, just throwing that out there. Okay, that would cause 25% tariffs due to take effect on Tuesday for 30 days. Canada agreed to deploy new technology and personnel along its border with the United States and launch cooperative efforts to fight organized crime, fentanyl smuggling, and money laundering. Mexico agreed to reinforce its northern border with 10,000 National Guard members to stem the flow of illegal migration and drugs. Well, is Mexico going to do the same for cocaine and its drugs? Just curious. I just thought I'd ask. As president, it's my responsibility to ensure the safety of all Americans, and I'm doing just that. I'm very pleased with its initial outcome, Trump said on social media. Canadian industry groups fearful of disrupted supply chains welcome the pause. That's very encouraging news, said Chris Davison, who heads a trade group of Canadian canola producers. We have a highly integrated industry that benefits both countries. Trump suggested on Sunday the 27-nation European Union would be his next target, but did not say when. EU leaders at an informal summit in Brussels on Monday said Europe would be prepared to fight back if the U.S. imposes tariffs, but also called for reason and negotiation. The U.S. is the EU's largest trade and investment partner. Trump hinted that Britain, which left the EU in 2020, might be spared tariffs. Trump acknowledged over the weekend that his tariffs could cause some short-term pain for U.S. consumers, but says they are needed to curb immigration and narcotics trafficking and spur domestic industries. Reporting by David L.R. Garcia and so many other people, not going to name all their names, but this information is by Yahoo News if you are curious. So right now, Mexico and Canada have a 30-day pause on the tariffs if they promise to try to curb, the fentanyl opiate epidemic coming into the United States. Once again, what about Mexico trafficking cocaine? What's the difference? Cocaine, fentanyl is all the same to me. Heroin, a drug's a drug. So as I said before, we need border control. And that's just the bottom line. Now, how the Chinese are getting the fentanyl over here, I don't know because I don't know anything about it. But we do have an epidemic nonetheless. However, the drugs are getting here. And that's that. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful week. I'll be back with an update to these ICE protests. And also this live stream started out about the DC crash of the American airliner and the Blackhawk helicopter. That's what this live started as, and the crash in Philadelphia. I brought you all live updates pertaining to both crashes. Right now, the black box has been recovered in the Philadelphia crash. 2 people are still in the hospital in critical condition. I played you content of one woman who she's badly burned. She was inside of a car with her boyfriend when the plane struck the ground and set the car on fire. They didn't mention the state of the boyfriend's how he was doing, but she has burned 70%, but she's doing well in receiving the well to the meds. So hopefully, I don't know how good the recovery will be with being burned 70% of her body, but prayers for her. Also, I showed you a few pictures of people who were passed away in that DC flight. And right now, it's up in odds on where the helicopter was versus where the airplane was. So that's the latest mumbo jumbo on that. Where the helicopter was versus the plane. They're getting the difference of what the controller saw versus, I guess, what information is coming from the boxes. All the boxes have been retrieved pertaining to the American airliner. So I don't really know what is going on with that. I'm just going to wait on the NTSB and wait on their findings on what they have gathered in both crashes. And then I also played you content from the Houston fire. A wing of an airplane caught fire, and it's believed they were having engine trouble on that aircraft in Houston, Texas on Sunday. Those are my latest updates. Wendy Williams, still deemed incapacitated. She was able to visit her father this past weekend. Will they be able to fight for her? Parents, family members raising money, GoFundMe to try to hire a lawyer for Wendy Williams. And she says she's not incapacitated. She wants out from her guardianship. I'm going to put up a short about that. And we will see what happens with Wendy Williams. Also, Sean Puffy Combs went in the hospital last week for knee trouble, had an MRI done. There's pictures of a teddy bear in his bed, which is crazy because I said earlier, why would you give someone a teddy bear when they can't take it back to their cell? Now, unless they want him to have a little boyfriend with them, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, that's the latest on Sean Puffy Combs, Wendy Williams, the crash in D.C., the crash in Philadelphia, and also Megan Boswell. A jury selection was underway yesterday here in East Tennessee. She has been accused of killing her baby daughter, Evelyn, beautiful little baby girl. And I'm hoping she gets the maximum sentence, and I'm praying that 12 members of the jury find her guilty because I do believe she murdered her girl child. I will be bringing you an update on that case this week. Those are the latest updates I have. But the next story I'm going to bring you is about a young lady who posted some not so nice things on her Facebook page pertaining to Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. And she just got awarded $250,000 from the University of Tennessee because she felt she wanted on her Facebook page. And UT said, no, you entered in this pharmacy program and we don't like what you were saying on Facebook. Well, she won that lawsuit, and we're going to talk about that later this week. Thank you for your time. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. This last information is pertaining to the ICE protest. What's going to become of ICE? What's going to become of these people being deported? Will there be people deported that do not have criminal records? I will bring you that said update. And also follow me on the Newsbreak app. I bring you the same type of commentary and content on that network as well. If you have any suggestions for topics, drop them on my community page or below this video after I end this live stream. Thank you for your time. Welcome all new guests, subscribers. I'll be back with more commentary. Check out my last live streams pertaining to Trump's executive orders on man or woman. There'll be no more XYZ. You have to check the box, woman or man, on documents. I do agree. Okay? I do agree with that. No more transgender persons in sports. You don't want them in the military. And also no care for children under the age of 19. No hormone therapy. No sex assignments, reassignments. I agree with that order as well. Most of you know I'm not a Trump fan, but I do agree with the woman-man box. I do agree with not allowing children to have sex changes in therapy. I don't believe trans people should be in sports. As for the military, I'm going to hold my tongue on that one. Thank you all so much. You all have a wonderful week. You have been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.